The episode begins in a snowy area where we see a man who's badly injured. As he looks around at his team, he realizes they've all been killed. Seeing this, he thinks his inner power isn't working anymore, which means this is the end for him. Looking at the man standing in front of him, he says to just kill him already, calling him the Northern Palace Master. Standing before him is our main character, who steps forward and asks why he did it, why he killed her. From there, the scene shifts into a flashback. We see two groups locked in an intense and deadly battle. One of the group leaders says they just need to hold them off a little longer because reinforcements are on the way. Suddenly, a mysterious man appears and says, "Who are you hoping and will come save you?" while holding the severed heads of the soldiers who were supposed to reinforce them. The help they were expecting had already been eliminated. We learn this man is the leader of the Murim Alliance, known as the First Heavenly Penetrate Sword. His real name is Dam Chok. As the battle heats up, a lady steps out of a carriage and asks everyone to stop. When she appears, all the fighters surround her. We find out she's the daughter of the Murim Alliance leader. He tells her that everyone makes mistakes, just like she did. She betrayed him and ran away from home, but everyone deserves at least one chance to make things right. As her father, he's giving her one last chance to return. She says if he lets the others go, she'll come back to his side. But deep down, she knows that's not going to happen. So instead, she asks for forgiveness and says she'll stay with the people she's with now. Her father becomes furious. He draws his sword and says he didn't expect her to be this stubborn. Then he stabs her with his sword. Seeing this, the others rush in to attack. Dam Chok gives the order to eliminate them all. Another brutal fight breaks out. The remaining people start dying one by one. As the lady dies, she thinks to herself that she promised to return, but couldn't keep that promise. She asks for forgiveness and says next time, she'll try her best to keep it. The scene shifts to the Northern Palace Master, who gets word that the negotiation team sent to the Murim Alliance has been killed, including Lady Yuen. Hearing this, Seol Mudok, the Northern Palace Master, activates his power and says that this cannot be forgiven. He declares that he will erase every last one of them from the map. He gathers his team and tells them they're heading to the Central Palace. Back in the present, Mudok asks why he killed her. The Murim Alliance leader laughs and says, "What do you think?" He says he's the leader of the Murim Alliance and his daughter was playing games with someone like Mudok. Of course she had to die. He could never make the mistake of letting her live. He continues laughing and says that even though Mudok took control of the area, the one thing he wanted most is now gone. Then he attacks Mudok, stabbing him in the chest. As Dam Chok is dying, he remembers moments with his daughter. He thinks about how he raised her, how she left home after a small argument, how she ended up with Mudok, and how in the end, he had to sacrifice her because of those people. He's left broken and full of regret. We're told that after Dam Chok died, the long, bloody battle that lasted 6 years came to an end. The Northern Sea Palace Master had unconsciously taken full control of the Central Plains. On the day he killed the Murim Alliance leader, his face showed no emotion. He simply looked up at the moon. Days later, we see Mudok looking at a flower and smiling. He feels that after she left, this flower is the only thing she left behind for him. The scene shifts into another flashback where Lady Yuen is calling Mudok Gaga while he's working. She's holding the same flower. She calls out to him and says, "Look, it bloomed. It's called the Lotus of Love." Mudok is surprised and says, "Isn't that the flower that glows only when two people truly love each other?" Yuen, getting emotional, says she never doubted his feelings, but sometimes she wondered if it was one-sided. But now that the flower bloomed, she understands its beauty shows the truth of their love. She says this proves that he truly loves her. Mudok hugs her and says, "If I don't love you, then who would I love?" These were the beautiful moments they shared. He never realized a small flower blooming could make her so happy. Back in the present, Mudok thinks that now that she's gone, he should plant this flower all over the garden in her memory. He keeps looking at the flower, remembering her, and thinking no matter how hard he tries, he can't forget her. Then something mysterious happens. The Lotus of Love flower starts glowing again. Surprised, he calls out to his shadow and says, "There's a task for you. Search every corner of this continent, no, the entire world. Find someone who can explain what's happening here. Even if you have to search every inch of this world, bring me anyone who can give me answers." A few days later, the scene shifts to show expert scholars from every corner of the continent gathering at the palace. None of them knew exactly why they were summoned, only that it was something important. They're all led into the palace garden, and the moment they step inside, they're completely shocked. The entire garden is filled with Lotus of Love flowers. Normally, even seeing one Lotus of Love is considered incredibly rare. Some of the experts begin analyzing and confirm it's real. It's definitely the Lotus of Love, and there's no doubt about it. But no one had ever heard of so many blooming at once. That's when Mudok appears and asks them if they like the flowers. One of them replies that the flowers are indeed beautiful, but who exactly is he? Mudok introduces himself as Sil Mudok, the owner of the garden. Everyone is stunned. Isn't Sil Mudok the Northern Sea Palace Master? What is someone like him doing here? They can't believe someone of his power is capable of such deep, genuine love, enough to make the lotus of love bloom. Mudok explains that he and the person he loved made these flowers bloom together. But after she died, every single flower in the garden also withered. Then, for some unknown reason, just a few days ago, they suddenly started blooming again. Everyone is shocked to hear this. Flowers that had died, blooming again? It sounded impossible. Mudok assures them he saw it with his own eyes. The experts start theorizing, saying this kind of mysterious phenomenon has never been recorded before. One of them eventually comes to a conclusion and says there's only one possibility. The person Mudok loved has been reborn in someone else's body. In other words, she reincarnated. Mudok, now serious, asks if this is truly possible. The expert says if it wasn't, then there would be no logical explanation for why the lotus of love bloomed again. It never blooms twice. Hearing this, Mudok feels something he hasn't in a long time: hope. After unifying the entire central palace, he felt like there was nothing left for him to do. He had achieved everything, yet still felt empty inside. But now he had a goal again: to find her. This time he wouldn't lose her. He would give it everything he had. He then asked the expert how he could actually find her. Could it really be done? The old man explains that the lotus of love glows even more when both lovers are in the same place. So if Mudok carries the flower with him and travels across the continent, the moment it begins to glow, he'll know she's nearby. That reminds Mudok of the first time Yuen smiled while holding the flower. It had glowed brightly then. He realizes this is a unique method through which he can track her. But he asks, how can he travel everywhere with this flower? It can't be carried around so easily. The expert tells him that if he seals it in a jade pendant, the flower will retain its powers and glow just like it does in the garden. Hearing this, Mudok turns and says he's assigning the expert with full responsibility for the preparation. They'll be leaving in 10 days, and everything must be ready by then. He also announces that whoever joins this journey to help him find his lover will be rewarded with 100 gold coins each. Everyone is stunned. 100 gold is a huge sum. He tells them all to get ready while he makes his own preparations. Alone with his thoughts again, Mudok reflects. He never imagined he'd have a chance to see her again. But now, if there's even a single hope, he won't let it die. No matter what it takes, he will search the entire continent and find her. This time, there will be no mistakes. He tells her, in his heart, to wait for him. The scene shifts to much later, on a boat. Mudok's appearance has changed completely. He looks at a map and says she's not here either. Now only one place remains: Hainan. He hopes that he'll find her there. We learn that, for the past 3 years and 5 months, Mudok has been searching day and night without rest, but he hasn't found her anywhere. During that time, something good did happen. His cultivation advanced. He broke through to the Foundation realm and completed 2 metaphase stages. Now, Hainan is his last hope. He looks at the crystal pendant, hoping this is where she'll be. The scene shifts into a flashback. Mudok is angry with Yuen, telling her she absolutely cannot go, no matter what. Yuen says her father is the one who decided on the negotiation, and she's his daughter. If she represents Mudok and explains his intentions properly, she's sure her father will understand. But Mudok warns her. It could be a trap. He refuses to let her go. Yuen, determined, says she wants to trust her father just once. Let her go this one time, and after that, she'll do whatever Mudok says. He hesitates but finally agrees. He tells her that the moment she feels something's wrong, she must return immediately. Yuen promises she'll come right back. Before leaving, she pulls something from her belongings, a pendant. She tells Mudok it once belonged to her mother, and her mother always said this necklace would return to the one truly meant to have it. As long as he keeps it with him, they will meet again. She tells him not to worry. She will always be by his side and will return soon. Remembering all that had happened, Mudok regrets letting her go. Suddenly, he jolts awake. Chaos has broken out on the boat. A massive storm has engulfed the ocean around them. Crew members are shouting, telling everyone to grab onto ropes or poles, anything to avoid being swept overboard. Mudok rushes outside and is shocked by the sudden storm. As he turns around, he sees a towering tsunami wave crashing toward them. To protect himself, he strengthens his grip on the boat using his protective chi and increases his body weight to stay grounded. He also forms a chi barrier around himself. But while this keeps him safe, others on the boat aren't so lucky. The monstrous wave hits, and many people are flung into the sea. Falling into such a storm usually means certain death. Seeing this, Mudok notices families screaming for their loved ones. Realizing how dire things have become, he uses his chi and telekinetic powers to lift wooden planks from the boat and throw them toward those who've fallen into the water, giving them something to float on. in a small chance at survival. Just then, one terrified sailor screams, "It's coming again!" A second wave, far more dangerous than the first, begins to form. Everyone on board loses hope. The wave is too large, too powerful. Mudok, now dead serious, understands he has only one option left. He draws his sword and decides to use his full power to stop the wave. As he channels his energy, cold winds begin to swirl across the ship. Mudok activates his powerful technique, freezing ice wind. At that exact moment, the necklace around his neck begins to glow. A strange golden energy forms in the sky above him and descends, engulfing him completely. Mudok tries to understand what's happening, but the energy pulls him inside. Then, just like that, the entire storm vanishes. The sky is clear, the sea calms, everyone is stunned. It was a massive storm one moment, and now it's like nothing ever happened. Mudok, however, wakes up somewhere else entirely. Confused, he tries to figure out where he is. It looks like the inside of a carriage, not a warehouse like he first thought. He struggles to remember. He was fighting a storm, and now he's here. Peering outside, he sees they are in a dense forest. Not only that, he realizes they are far from Central Palace. And worse, giant mosquito-like monsters are attacking the people nearby. Two young girls are about to be attacked when two men rush in and kill the insects. They assure the girls that they're safe. Suddenly, the carriage is torn apart in two pieces, crushing two giant mosquitoes. The others are stunned. Why would someone destroy such an expensive, first-class carriage? From inside, Mudok steps out and looks around. He wonders what this place is and what's going on. Based on the forest, he guesses they're near the Silent Palace. But then he notices something odd. The people around him are foreigners. The monsters, too, are far larger and more aggressive than anything he's encountered before. He quickly realizes this place is far from home, and these creatures are unlike anything he has faced. One of the monstrous mosquitoes charges at him. Mudok dodges it with ease and uses his ice palm to freeze it solid. He unleashes a burst of ice energy, shocking the onlookers. They all realize this man is incredibly powerful. Mudok scoffs at the insects and says, "How dare such pathetic bugs attack us? Just because they're big doesn't mean they can win. That's unforgivable." With that, he charges forward, releasing more of his ice energy. In the blink of an eye, he freezes all the mosquitoes, then uses divine white ice palm to shatter them like glass. It's a beautiful yet deadly display of his speed and strength. Everyone around is stunned. Even a young girl is visibly impressed by his raw power. Their leader approaches and says, "My name is Aiden Roll. I'm the leader of the Roland Merchant Association. On behalf of everyone, thank you for saving us. May I ask the name of our savior, Sir Magic Swordsman?" Mudok, however, looks confused. He can't understand a word. Aiden was speaking in a foreign language. Mudok replies, "I'm sorry, but I don't understand your language. I don't know any foreign tongues. Is there anyone here who can speak the Central Plains language?" But no one understands him either. The people begin talking among themselves using a language Mudok doesn't recognize. He quickly realizes the biggest obstacle here isn't the monsters. It's the language. Mudok, frustrated, asks again, "Is there seriously no one here who understands the Central Plains language?" Just then, from behind Aiden, a man steps forward. He hands a ring to another person, who slips it on and starts saying strange words, interpretation language, then begins doing an odd little dance. Mudok stares in disbelief at the bizarre ritual. It looks ridiculous. Moments later, Aiden speaks again, but this time in perfect Central Plains language. Mudok, shocked, exclaims, "Wait, you're suddenly speaking my language? Is this the power of that ring?" Aiden chuckles and responds, "So that's what your language is called? Central Plains, huh? Yes, it's the magic of this ring." He introduces himself once again. "I'm Aiden Roll, leader of the Roland Merchant Association. Thank you for saving my entire team. May I ask the name of our savior, Sir Magic Swordsman?" Mudok replies, "I have no idea what a magic swordsman even is, but my name is Sayo Mudok." Aiden smiles and explains, "A magic swordsman is someone who can wield both magic and swordsmanship." That makes Mudok pause. "Magic? What's that?" Now Aiden is confused. How can this guy not know what magic is? He clearly just used ice-based magic in battle. But Mudok grows irritated. Aiden seems to be ignoring his question. Energy surges from him as he says firmly, "I asked you something. Answer me now." Aiden, now visibly nervous, realizes Mudok is a loose cannon. "I have to calm this lunatic down and explain everything properly," he thinks. Well, and so he does. From morning till night, Aiden explains the fundamentals of magic, the world, kingdoms, and much more. That evening, Mudok finally speaks. "So, you're saying that this thing called magic actually exists in the Central Plains, and I somehow never knew about it?" Aiden sighs in relief. At least he's calm now. Then Aiden asks curiously, You've mentioned the Central Plains multiple times. Is it a place? A nation? Mudok, now visibly frustrated, snaps. Are you out of your mind? Or completely clueless? You're standing right inside the Central Plains. Aiden looks genuinely confused. I don't understand what you mean. Mudok shakes his head. You must be new to this area. This forest is part of the Central Plains. But Aiden responds, Sir Magic Swordsman, we've never heard of any place called the Central Plains. This road leads directly to the brand capital of the Drakia Kingdom. Hearing that, Mudok grows furious. Listen, foreigner, I've never heard of any place called Drakia Kingdom on my continent. Either you're old and senile or you've completely lost your mind. Aiden, thinking to himself, I'm not crazy. I'm only 50. Out loud, he says, I swear I'm not mad. I've never heard of the Central Plains in my life. That's why we were curious where you came from. Now Mudok is seething with annoyance. He points toward a tree and says, let's ask that kid who's been eavesdropping on us for a while. Maybe he can answer. The boy walks over and Aiden says, Leo, what are you doing here? Mudok turns to him. All right, kid, tell me honestly, are we in the Central Plains or in this so-called Drakia Kingdom? But Leo doesn't respond. He has no idea what Mudok is saying. Mudok presses again, serious now. Why aren't you answering? Aiden steps in. It doesn't matter how loudly or seriously you ask, he can't understand your language. Then Aiden offers Mudok the ring. Wear this ring. Just say interpretation language, and you'll understand all spoken languages. Thinking to himself, Aiden sighs, I really hate wasting such a valuable magical artifact on this crazy guy, but I can't keep being the middleman, especially when he keeps calling me mad and old. Mudok accepts the ring and says the words, interpretation language. A magical light swirls around him. Instantly, he begins understanding the foreign voices around him. He marvels. This magic is incredible. Turning to Leo, he asks, Kid, what's your name? Leo replies, My name's Leo. Mudok then asks, Tell me something. Are we in the Drakia Kingdom or the Central Plains? Leo tilts his head. What's the Central Plains? Is that a place or something? He continues, This forest is inside the Drakia Kingdom, and this road leads straight to our capital, Bran. Hearing this, Mudok explodes with anger again. Seriously? What even is this Drakia Kingdom? I've never even heard of it. He glares at Aiden. You put him up to this, didn't you? Aiden raises his hands. No, I swear. You can ask anyone in our merchant group. They'll all tell you the same thing. Mudok thinks for a moment. Judging by everyone's genuine reactions, they probably aren't lying. And then a realization hits him. Could it be? He remembers the storm, the blinding light, his glowing necklace, and the moment he lost consciousness. The moment he woke up, he was in a carriage, not the boat. He puts the pieces together. I didn't just black out. I was teleported. I jumped through space, maybe even dimensions. He looks around. No, this isn't the Central Plains anymore. This really is the Drakia Kingdom. Just then he realizes something. There's a painful sensation building up inside his body. He thinks to himself, what kind of feeling was that just now? Something happened inside my Dantian. Meanwhile, Eden asks, so do you believe me now? Even Leo admitted the truth. But Mudok doesn't respond. He's too lost in thought, wondering, what kind of energy was that? It felt completely different from anything I've experienced before. He knows he needs to figure this out immediately. So without another word, he suddenly takes off. Eden watches him go and says, where's he running off to now? Mudok keeps running, thinking to himself, I've got to find out the truth on my own. What's going on here? As he scans the surrounding area, he notices something. The energy flow here is unusually pure, very different from the kind you'd find in the Central Plains. He jumps up into the air and senses an incredibly dense concentration of energy. Without wasting a moment, he begins absorbing it into his Dantian. Within seconds, he gathers all of it and is shocked to realize that the amount of chi in his Dantian has doubled. That's when he finally confirms it. He's definitely not in the Central Plains anymore. He immediately thinks about leaving. He has to find Yuan. He's got to get back to the Central Plains. But then, his eyes land on the necklace, and suddenly, it hits him. This is where that energy came from. That's what brought him here. He remembers what Yuan told him. That necklace has a special power. It always returns to its rightful owner. So, could it be? Could Yuan have summoned him here? If that's true, then she must be somewhere in this very world. There's no need for him to go anywhere else. Sometime later, the scene shifts back to Eden. He mutters, where the hell did that guy go? He's so unpredictable. He could be anywhere by now. But just then, Mudok shows up and says, So everyone's still here, huh? I had to step out real quick to take care of something, but now I've got a few questions I'd like some answers to. Eden nods and says, "Of course, ask away," while thinking to himself, "Why the hell is this guy smiling like that? It's kind of creepy." Mudok asks, "Leo said this is the Drachia Kingdom, right? I want to know more about it." Eden replies, "Yeah, like we said earlier. Keep going a little farther and you'll reach the capital, Bran." Now Mudok has no idea where Bran is or how far it might be. Just then a kid chimes in and says, "I think I get it now. You're from a place where you've lived in the mountains your whole life, right? Just training nonstop and never seeing the outside world?" He continues, "I've heard stories about people like you, but this is the first time I've actually met one." Mudok smiles and says, "You're right. I've been in the mountains my whole life, training, and now, for the first time, I've stepped out to experience the world. So I don't know much yet." He thinks to himself, "I've never heard of the Drachia Kingdom. Maybe it's a place really far away from the Central Plains." He realizes he needs to cooperate with these people and learn how far this land really is from the Central Plains. Looking at the kid's eyes, he notices something. The color is different. He thinks, maybe this kid's from the western barbarian regions. The kid grins and says, "Just like I expected, huh? You really are one of those people, magic swordsman." Mudok replies, "There's still so much I need to know about this area." The kid says, "Then follow me. I'll teach you everything." Mudok smiles and asks, "What's your name?" The kid proudly answers, "Luffy, sir, magic swordsman." Meanwhile, Eden is fuming. He can't figure out why Mudok is suddenly acting so friendly. He thinks, I can never predict this guy. That night, Mudok studies maps, languages, and local customs with Luffy's help. And he's shocked. This area, which he thought might be some borderland of the Central Plains, is actually something else entirely. Well, the shape of the land is different. The writing system is completely foreign. He's not just in a different region. He's in a completely different world. This world has all kinds of species, elves, dwarves, and even beastmen. And above all, the strongest of all creatures here are dragons. Massive creatures that basically look like giant flying lizards. Luffy also tells him about the way magic works. Mages here use something called magic circles, and only mages with 5 or more circles can use something called warm magic to draw spells onto the ground. Oh, after the spell is cast, they can teleport anywhere, though it depends on their power level and how many circles they have. Mudok is honestly impressed. This kind of sorcery is completely new to him. He wonders just how many more amazing things he'll discover in this world. He glances up at the sky and is stunned again. There are 3 moons hanging in the sky. Now he knows for sure this definitely isn't the Central Plains. He's in a different world altogether. And there's no doubt in his mind anymore. Ewan must have been the one who summoned him here. Just then, he hears a loud voice from behind. "Semina, you can't do this!" Mudok immediately turns toward the commotion, wondering what's going on. He sees Semina shouting, "I said no, and I meant it. If any of you come near me, I swear I'll kill every one of you." One person tries to reason with her. "Semina, don't do anything rash. There's no need to go this far." Another adds, "Once we reach the capital, we'll find a healer immediately and get you both treated." Anyway, you already know that once we get to the capital, there'll be plenty of magicians available there all the time. And Eden will definitely ask someone for a favor, so there's no need to panic. But because of you, Anya is scared. Just drop the knife. Then Semina says, "Charles, do you think I'm an idiot? There may be healers in the capital, but do you know how rare healers actually are? Even if we do manage to find one, do you realize how much money they'll ask for? It's gonna cost us a fortune. The assassination bugs, they've already implanted eggs inside our bodies. By now, they're probably near our hearts. And once those eggs hatch and turn into larvae, they'll rip through our bodies from the inside out, and we'll die an extremely painful death." Hearing this, Charles goes completely silent. He doesn't know what to say. Then Semina continues, "If those eggs hatch and the larvae start coming out, Anya and I are going to be in unbearable pain. I don't want either of us to go through that. So honestly, I'd rather we die now. At least our bodies won't be torn to pieces." Just then, Mudok arrives and says, "Okay, I've got a rough idea of what's going on here. He uses one of his abilities and pulls the dagger right out of Semina's hand, saying, I can treat you. You don't need this dagger anymore. Semina is shocked. She can't even tell when he took the dagger from her. Then Mudok says, Come here, sit down. I'm going to start your treatment. Eden steps forward and asks, Sir, do you know healing magic too? Mudok replies, I don't know magic, but I do know some healing techniques that were passed down from where I come from. I can at least give it a try. So everyone, calm down and step aside. But Eden clings to him and says, Please save these kids, Sir Magic Swordsman. I'll do anything you ask. I'll repay you with all my heart. Please heal them. Mudok says, You don't have to cling like that. I was going to help them anyway. I'm starting their treatment now, so everybody step back. Everyone backs away while Mudok approaches the girls to begin healing. He tells them, Don't worry, this won't take long, but we can clearly see the fear on their faces. Still, they agree to trust Mudok and close their eyes, trying to relax. Mudok moves behind them and starts channeling his energy into their bodies. He thinks, The eggs must be close to their hearts, so I'll have to focus my energy in that area. He begins transferring energy around their hearts and finally locates the eggs. He relaxes a bit once he confirms that the eggs haven't hatched yet. Now he slowly starts heating up his energy just enough to burn the eggs to ash, without damaging their internal organs. The process continues and a massive amount of energy begins to pour out. We see that all the eggs near their hearts burn away. Smoke starts coming out of the girls' mouths. Seeing this, Mudok stands up and says, It's done. The two girls look completely shocked. They ask, Really? It's over already? Are we safe now? Mudok replies, Yeah, I've already destroyed the eggs. You're safe now. You can relax. There's no more danger. Everyone is stunned, especially Eden. He's beyond surprised and deeply thankful that Mudok saved both girls. Mudok reassures them, There's no need to worry or be scared. The method I used has no side effects. You're completely fine now. The girls start thanking Mudok, and as he walks away, all the members of the Merchant Association thank him sincerely from their hearts. He sits down under a tree, thinking to himself, Yuen, what are you doing right now? He keeps staring at the crystal, completely lost in thoughts of her. The next day, we see their group continuing on their journey toward Bran, the capital. It's an extremely hot day, and everyone's drenched in sweat. Mudok is also clearly struggling in the heat. Then Luffy walks over and offers him a bottle of water, hoping it'll give him some relief. But Mudok notices that even the water in the bottle has gotten warm. So he uses his ice ability to chill the water. Luffy asks, Sir Magic Swordsman, feeling a little better now? Mudok replies, Yeah, this is way better than before. Then he places the cold bottle against Luffy's cheek. The bottle is so cold that Luffy gets super excited and says, Why is this bottle making a weird sound? And why does it feel so cold? Mudok says, Just take a sip. You'll feel a lot better too. So Luffy takes a sip and immediately feels chilled and refreshed. Mudok smiles and says, Now you feel it, right? That refreshing sensation. I was talking about that. Luffy is amazed, says, Sir Magic Swordsman, could you freeze my bottle like that too? Mudok thinks, This kid's helped me a lot already. Freezing his bottle is the least I can do. So he chills Luffy's bottle too, and Luffy gets really happy. But then everyone else finds out about it soon. People start lining up with their own bottles, asking him to chill theirs too. And seeing all those requests, he just can't say no. He ends up chilling everyone's water bottles. Now with that cold, refreshing water, the entire group is impressed and totally thrilled. Mudok thought to himself, Well, this wasn't really a big deal. These people have helped me a lot with smaller tasks, so this much I can definitely do for them. Just then, Eden showed up and asked, What's going on here? Why did everyone suddenly stop? Can someone explain this to me? Luffy stepped up and said, Sir Magic Swordsman used his magic and turned our water into ice water. Because of that, all my brothers and sisters here are feeling some relief from the heat. Hearing that, Eden was genuinely surprised. He turned and started staring at Mudok intensely. Mudok looked at him and asked, Why are you looking at me like that? The next moment, Eden dropped to his knees and said, Can you turn my water into ice water too? Mudok was a little surprised. He hadn't expected Eden to make that kind of request, but then he agreed, thinking, I should stick with this crew anyway. It'll help me learn more about this place. And this guy solved one of my biggest problems. The language barrier. So the least I can do is help out with these small things, like making ice water. As Eden drank the water, he felt something strange and asked, Sir Magic Swordsman, how exactly did you create this ice water? Mudok replied, Why are you asking me that? Is something wrong with it? But Eden, looking super excited, said, This ice is absolutely perfect. I've tried every kind of ice on this continent. I've never tasted anything like this before. It's honestly on another level. If I had to describe it simply, it's pure ice, and it tastes amazing. Mudok responded, What's so special about it? All I did was freeze the water. Isn't that how everyone does it? How can the taste be different? Eden began explaining. See, when magicians create ice, they either freeze water directly using their mana attribute, or they use the moisture in the air and turn that into ice. But when they do that, the impurities in their mana get mixed into the ice, changing its taste. Plus, every mage has a unique mana signature, so the taste of their ice is also different. It's extremely rare for anyone to make pure ice. But what I just tasted, it's unbelievably pure. It's delicious. Mudok nodded slowly. Ah, now I understand why you and everyone else reacted the way you did. He thought to himself, I had no idea such a simple act would make these people so happy. What's going on in this continent? Don't they even know basic skills like this? Then Mudok said, Well, I'm in a good mood today. Let me chill a few more of your bottles. Eden smiled and said, Sir Magic Swordsman, I have a proposal for you. From there, the scene shifts. A few days later, inside the city, there's a huge rush going on. The Roll Merchant Association is overwhelmed with work, and everything's in chaos. Inside, we see Mudok using his ice ability to turn buckets of water into ice cubes. Everyone watching is super impressed. Then Mudok takes us into a flashback, explaining what really happened that day. Eden had proposed a deal. You make the ice, and I'll sell it. That way I can revive my merchant association. Hearing that, Mudok wasn't really surprised. He'd already been wondering why Eden kept talking about ice in such detail. He thought, he definitely knows how hard it is to hire a mage. He must have had an agenda all along. I get it now. He wants me to make the ice so he can use it to rebuild his merchant business. Eden had told him that only 4-circle mages can make ice, and they're usually arrogant. They only sell to nobles and rich folks. But we, Eden said, will sell your ice to regular people. After listening to all that, Mudok thought, well, I haven't sensed any bad intentions from this guy. If I can help him rebuild his merchant group, I don't mind helping out a bit. But still, this job is super annoying. There's no way I'm doing it for free. Time to negotiate. Mudok said, I want a 70-30 split. I take 70% and you get 30%. Eden thought to himself, this offer's actually pretty solid. Not bad at all. But I can't just give in. I've got to at least try negotiating. Who knows? Maybe I can get a better deal. Then Eden said, selling the ice isn't the only part of this job. I'll need carriages to transport the ice. I'll need workers. I'll also have to hire mages to stop the ice from melting. This is going to cost a lot. I don't think 30% will cut it. You should reconsider and bump up my share a bit. Mudok responded casually. All right, 60-40. 60 for me, 40 for you. Eden was stunned. He hadn't expected his cut to increase by 10% just from one round of negotiation. Eden pulled out a contract and said, all right then, let's sign the agreement. The scene shifts back to the present time. Mudok reflects, back then I agreed because I wanted to learn more about this place. I figured I could make a bit of money while gaining some knowledge too. But the business unexpectedly boomed. It started growing at a rapid pace. Suddenly, Charles came running over. Sir Iden, please come outside. There's a situation. Hearing this, Mudok thought, a problem? What kind of problem now? He and Iden stepped outside and saw a massive crowd gathered. People from various cities had come just for the ice. Everyone was demanding it. We're small-time traders. Doesn't mean we don't deserve some ice, too. I came all the way from another city. Voices shouted from every direction. Iden tried to calm them. Please, everyone, settle down. Get in line and we'll handle things properly. But no one was listening. Everyone was desperate to get the ice before it ran out. Then Mudok stepped forward, using his energy to amplify his voice directly into everyone's mind. Everyone, quiet down. He walked ahead and said firmly, there will be no chaos in front of the store. If I hear shouting again, You'll be kicked out. No explanations, no warnings. So behave." Everyone froze. The energy behind his words was enough to silence them. Aiden continued, "Our merchant association is currently selling ice in bulk only. We're not distributing it in small amounts, maybe in the future. So if you're here for wholesale purchases, stay. Others, please leave." But that didn't stop the arguing. "We came from so far just to buy some ice. Can't you sell us a small quantity, at least?" Just then, Mudok's presence shifted. His icy aura intensified, and the sheer pressure sent a wave of fear through the crowd. They quickly realized they weren't getting their way today. One man muttered, "I came all the way here, and now I have to return empty-handed." Mudok simply nodded them off. "Goodbye." Aiden told the rest, "Everyone who's staying, please form a line." Only 3 people remained, one from the Merchant Association, one from Account's family, and one from the royal family. Seeing this, Aiden thought, I never imagined our business would reach noble families, or even go global. Sure, I dreamed of making big money, but I didn't think I'd get this lucky. All of this is because of the Magic Swordsman. He turned to Mudok and said, "Sir Magic Swordsman, I can handle the rest here. Please, take some rest." Mudok nodded. "All right, if there's any issue, let me know." But Aiden was thinking to himself, "I'm sorry, Sir Magic Swordsman. My goal in reviving this merchant association isn't just business. I have a personal motive. I want to avenge the injustice done to my parents and siblings. I'll rebuild the merchant association completely, and then I'll take revenge against Duke Agri. He and his Akasa Merchant Guild destroyed us. I won't give up until I make them pay. I hope you'll stay with me until then, Sir Magic Swordsman, and once I succeed, I'll definitely repay you." Meanwhile, Mudok was thinking, "What a long and exhausting day. Business is going great. I'm making good money. Maybe now I can start gathering information on Yuan." Suddenly, there was a knock at his door. He asked, "Who's there?" Then it hit him. It was snack time. He invited the guest in, and to his surprise, it was Savina holding out an ice cream. We learned that this particular ice cream had become the hottest topic in the Royal Merchant Association. It was selling in huge numbers. Apparently, Savina had stumbled upon the recipe by accident, mixing in ice fruit and other ingredients, and it had become a huge hit. Mudok thanked her as she handed him the ice cream. Savina smiled. "Enjoy it at your own pace." He took a spoonful and thought, "This ice cream is insanely delicious. So cold, sweet, and flavorful. I can't believe something like this doesn't even exist in the Central Plains. No wonder everyone's obsessed with it. It's amazing." Before he knew it, he had eaten the entire thing. He glanced down, confused. Wait, how did it disappear so fast? He didn't mention it to anyone else, though. The Merchant Association was already overwhelmed with customers. Everyone was busy with their work. He figured he'd just go grab another one himself. Meanwhile, Savina was struggling outside. "I told you, you can't just cut the line," one rude man shouted. "How dare you speak to me like that? Do you even know who I am? You can't give orders to a noble." Mudok watched the scene unfold, quietly observing. 3 well-dressed noblemen were causing trouble. One of them said smugly, "Hey, miss, we've come from far away. Do you really think you can talk to us like that? We came all this way just to try your famous ice cream. It better be worth it, or you'd better be ready to face the consequences." But Savina stood her ground. "Our merchant association follows rules. If you break the line, we won't serve you." The nobleman's face twisted in anger. "You dare compare nobles like us to these filthy commoners? You think we're all equals here? We should have our own line. You must have a death wish, girl." Even as the tension rose, Savina didn't flinch. She replied calmly, "I'm sorry, but our merchant association doesn't discriminate. Whether you're a noble or a commoner, the rules are the same. If you're not in line, you won't be served." The man shouted, "Are you deaf? I said I'm a noble." Savina, thinking to herself, remained confident. "If this turns into a serious problem, I know Sir Magic Swordsman will step in and handle it." So she said aloud firmly, "I'm not deaf. Stop trying to intimidate me. I'm simply stating the rules." The nobleman was furious. He drew his sword and yelled, "Looks like you really do want to die by my hand." But Savina's attitude doesn't change at all. Just then, one of the guys with her speaks up. Sam, stop right here. There's no need to act like this anymore. You have no idea how you're dragging down our dignity by drawing your sword in front of these lowly people. We need to uphold our pride. As he steps forward, he releases his aura and says, we're only here to try some ice cream. There's a coldness in his eyes sharp enough to strike fear into everyone around. Seeing this, Savina thinks to herself, just looking into his eyes makes me feel like my heart's going to burst. He says again, I won't repeat myself. Bring me an ice cream. Now. Savina starts trembling. To her, he feels like a giant and she's nothing more than a bug. Scared, she stammers, oh, okay, I'll bring it right away. Just then, from behind, Eden shows up and says firmly, stop right there. What's going on here? Our merchant association doesn't serve people like this. You cut the line and now you expect to be served? Savina, how could you even think of giving them ice cream? Realizing her mistake, Savina apologizes. Meanwhile, from a distance, Murdoch is observing everything and gets the sense something isn't right. He wonders, why is Eden reacting like this? Does he hate that guy for some personal reason? Otherwise, there was no need for him to get involved like this. Eden continues, get lost. I won't tolerate this any longer. The Merchant Association's rules are final. Hearing this, the noble group gets furious. Who does this guy think he is? How dare he insult nobles like us? Eden responds, I'm not refusing you because you're nobles. I'm refusing you because you broke the line. That's it. Now the three of them are confused. One of them asks, then what is the real reason? Tell us why you're not serving us ice cream. Eden says, ask your father, Duke Igris. Everyone around is stunned. Duke Igris is known to be dangerous. Hearing that name, one of the young nobles steps forward. You know my father? He takes a closer look at Eden's face and mutters, wait a second, this face, those eyes. I get it now. I remember everything. With a deadly grin, he says, so you're the one who survived from the Drolle Merchant Association that day. The moment his friends see that wicked smile, they immediately understand. When Justin smiles like that, he's completely furious. They think, he's going to kill this guy. Justin pulls out his sword. For insulting a noble, you'll have to pay with your life. And he charges straight at Eden with full force. Eden thinks, so this is how I die, unable to take revenge for my family. What a pathetic way to go. But just then, Murdoch steps in and blocks the sword with his bare hand. With a slight swing, he knocks Justin backward. Justin shouts, who the hell are you? Do you want to die with this guy? Murdoch thinks, I just came to get an ice cream. We simply told them we don't serve people who cut the line. And now this guy wants to kill someone over it? He's completely lost it. Murdoch turns to Justin and says, young one, don't you have any manners? Justin holds his posture and says, what's that supposed to mean? Murdoch calmly replies, let me use this opportunity to teach you a little something about manners. That makes Justin even angrier. He unleashes his power and says, you've crossed the line. He infuses mana into his sword, charges forward with intense speed and aura, and launches a deadly strike aimed at Murdoch. It's the kind of blow that would slice an ordinary person clean in half. But Murdoch dodges at the very last second. To him, it feels like child's play. He easily avoids every attack without countering once. He chuckles. Man, you nearly got me there. You really do have talent. I'll give you that. For someone your age, you handle a sword quite well. But no matter how hard you try, that sword of yours will never touch me. The principle of swordsmanship is simple. Righteousness. If you're in the right, the reason will guide your blade to eliminate the enemy. And yet, despite being a noble, you act on false pride and lies. That's not what's right. I'm not narrow-minded, though. If your parents never taught you manners, I suppose I'll have to do it for them. Justin explodes with rage. You bastard! How dare you talk so casually to a noble like me? Murdoch calmly says, it doesn't matter who you are. Manners can be taught by anyone who's more skilled than you. And clearly, you don't even know how to show respect to the person standing in front of you. In his mind, Murdoch reflects, ever since I came to this world, I forgot something important. The rules here are just like they were in the Central Plains, only the strongest survive. Then he starts channeling mana into his finger, and in the next moment, he unleashes a formless chi straight ahead. The blast is so powerful it pierces right through Justin's hand, leaving a clean hole. He falls to the ground in agony, shocked and in disbelief that someone actually attacked him like that. The energy also contains an icy element, slowly freezing his entire hand. Even Eden is stunned seeing this level of attack and tries to ask what kind of technique it was, but Murdoch just keeps walking forward. One good thing though, Justin's friends don't run away. Despite being injured and clearly no match for Murdoch, they still try to protect Justin. They know they can't win, but they're ready to fight anyway. As Murdoch continues walking, the others step back, and Murdoch looks down at Justin with a cold, intimidating glare. Kid, why didn't you just stay down? Don't even think about getting up again. But Justin, stubborn as ever, forces himself to stand again. They face off once more. Murdoch thinks, I have to admit, this is turning into a pretty entertaining show. He channels more chi into his hand and says, if you really want to play this game, fine. Let's resume class right where we left off. Murdoch now looks even more deadly than before. He swings once more, and Justin is back on the ground in seconds. Sam rushes over to catch him. Justin, are you all right? But clearly Justin's not okay. His chi is slowly starting to heal his hand, but it's not fully effective yet. His friends try to stop him. Let's quit now. Your hand's injured, but Justin grits his teeth. This is impossible. Meanwhile, Murdoch thinks, I was using first-rate martial arts techniques. Maybe I went overboard. He's not as strong as I thought. I don't even fully understand this world yet. I can't just go around killing people. He decides to back off a little. Fine. I don't want to kill someone reckless like you. Then Justin demands, who even are you? Do you even know who I am? I'm Justin von Igris. How dare you lay a finger on me? Hearing that tone, Murdoch's mood shifts again. This brat, should I just finish him off right now? He's clearly never going to learn. But he thinks again. No, I shouldn't be killing just anyone. I need to spend time in this world, get to know its people. What if this kid becomes a bigger problem later? Sam steps forward. You bastard. We're nobles. Don't you know the rules of nobility? If you don't want to die, get on your knees right now, or be ready for the consequences. Murdoch thinks, I can't use my chi on them again. It'd seriously injure them, maybe worse. Then he notices a small branch lying nearby. Perfect. Using telekinesis, he draws a stick into his hand. His aura now looks devilish, terrifying. Even Justin can sense something's coming. His friends get nervous. Is he a magic swordsman? Murdoch begins infusing sword energy into the wooden stick. He looks absolutely badass while doing it. Justin is shocked. He's got sword energy too? What even is this guy? Murdoch says, well, we didn't quite start our lesson earlier, did we? Let's try again. Justin backs off. Stay away from me. Don't even try coming closer. But Murdoch wasn't stopping. With just a stick now pulsing with sword energy, he starts beating Justin relentlessly. And he says, for garbage like you, there's only one solution. Beating, beating, and more beating. Now he doesn't just beat Justin. He starts pounding all three of them together. The beating goes on, from morning to evening, and then well into the night. Finally, a bloodied and broken Justin mutters, I was wrong. Please, just stay. Don't leave. Sam adds, we were wrong. The third guy begs, forgive us. We'll never act like this again. Murdoch crosses his arms and says, huh? I didn't quite hear your apology properly. That makes Justin furious inside. Once I leave this place, I swear I'll kill this bastard. I'll crush his head under my foot. But aloud he screams, I was wrong. I won't make this mistake again. Murdoch thinks, yeah, I knew it. Guys like this, there's only one way to deal with them. A good beating. That's how you heal them. So Murdoch says, fine, go home. And don't let me hear any complaints about you again. Eden, watching this all, has tears in his eyes. To him, this felt like justice. Like he'd gotten halfway through avenging what happened with the Igris family. And all of this only happened thanks to that magic swordsman. Now the scene shifts to the royal palace of the kingdom. A formal meeting is underway. Nobles, dukes, and officials sit together as Count Slay begins. We've received reports. Sibia Kingdom is expanding its territory. King Tomley Loa III says, all right, let's discuss this in more detail. Go on. Count Slay continues. Sibia has successfully reclaimed the northern barbarian lands, also known as the Blackstone region. Not only that, but the Hajin Kingdom is attempting to develop territory beyond the Sahara Desert. Duke Sergio von Igris raises an eyebrow. What? The Sahara Desert? That region's dangerous for humans. Monsters live there too. What exactly are they planning? Count Slay answers, I can't say for sure, but based on my sources, we suspect Ionis has allied with them. Hearing that shocks the king. Ionis? With them? That's impossible. Count Crush is also surprised. Is this really true? Count Slay nods. As far as I've been informed, my sources confirm it. Yes, it's true. Then Baron Arista suddenly speaks up. You're talking about that guy, right? Ainos, the one considered among the top 10 swordmasters on the continent? He continues. People say no matter how much money you offer him, he never works under anyone. So what happened? Why would he suddenly join a faction? The king, clearly anxious, says, what's going on here? How did the Hajin Kingdom manage to bring him under their command? Someone else adds, if he can't be bought with money, then he must have fallen in love. That's the only thing powerful enough to control a man like that. Once someone like him falls for someone, he'll do anything for them. Count Slay nods. Exactly. That's what seems to have happened. Everyone in the room is stunned. Wait, he fell in love? Who is she? The king asks sharply. There's no way he'd fall for an ordinary girl. Who is she? Do you know? Count Slay answers. She's none other than Princess Diana, the youngest sister of King Lord II of the Hajin Kingdom. The king is taken aback. What are you saying? His youngest sister? He raised that girl like she was the most precious treasure in his life. He kept her close and protected her fiercely. I always knew that foolish king would use tricks like this. And now he's finally revealing his true colors. The king then adds, if that's true, then the Hajin Kingdom now has 2 swordmasters under its banner. Count Slay agrees. That's right, and with a second swordmaster joining them, the territories their former king tried to conquer, they're now finally becoming possible to claim. The king reflects silently. The Hajin Kingdom is expanding toward the east. Sibia is developing their southern regions, and the Java Empire in the Western Sea is also spreading its reach. All of them are growing their territory. He then looks around the council and says, if they're preparing like this, then we must act too. Tell me your opinions. What do you think we should do? Duke Igris responds, in my opinion, we should also expand our territory. The king frowns. But there's no available land around us where we can expand. Then nervous, he asks, wait, are you suggesting we move toward the Lakar Mountains in the north? Duke Igris nods. Yes, we have no other choice. We must head in that direction. He explains, that northern region is always covered in snow. No one has ever successfully conquered it. Every person we've ever sent there has failed miserably. The entire area is frozen and offers no useful resources. Any manpower we commit there would likely be wasted. Despite this, the king says, we'll send someone soon to handle this territory issue in the north. He glances toward Count Slay, giving him a subtle signal. The two share an unspoken exchange of intent. Then the king stands and declares, this council meeting is officially adjourned. We'll continue this matter on another day. But Count Igris is left suspicious. He senses the king is hiding something. The scene shifts to a private chamber where the king and Count Slay sit face to face. The king asks, tell me, Count, have you made any mistakes recently? Slay replies firmly, no, your majesty, I've done nothing wrong. The king presses, then why is Duke Igris acting so aggressively again? For the last 10 years, anyone who's spoken out against him has been sent to the north. And now he's trying to trick you again? Count Slay apologizes. I'm sorry, I didn't expect this. The king softens. There's no need to apologize. You're the only one I fully trust. Anyway, forget all that. Lately, I've heard rumors. Something about ice candy becoming very popular in the kingdom? Count Slay nods. Yes, I've heard the same. The Roly Merchant Association has been selling all sorts of ice-related products, but ice candy is by far the most popular. It's sweeter than regular ice and has brought in a lot of money and fame. The king asks curiously, so how late do their shops usually stay open? Slay answers, as far as I know, they're open quite late. He suddenly realizes the king wants to try that candy himself. So Slay suggests, we were actually planning a secret visit to the merchant area. Would your majesty like to come with us? The king grins slyly. Exactly what I was thinking. You really can read my mind. Slay replies, it's my duty to understand and fulfill your majesty's every desire. The king then asks, so when are you planning this secret visit? The scene now shifts to the Merchant Association, where the 4 kids are pleading with Murdoch. Please teach us magic. Murdoch frowns. What kind of nonsense are you all talking about? Savino steps forward. We're sorry for coming at this time. We know it's not ideal, but we want to learn magic from you. Anya adds, Sir Magic Swordsman, the other day our trading company had to face danger on our own. If something like that happens again in the future, we want to be able to handle it ourselves. We promise. We'll train hard. Please, teach us magic. Murdoch looks at the kids and says, how many times do I have to tell you, I'm not a magician. What I use is... But before he can even finish his sentence, Luffy jumps in. Yes, you already told us. You use martial arts, not magic. I remember clearly. Murdoch raises an eyebrow, slightly impressed. Looks like your memory's pretty sharp. Anyway, look, this isn't magic at all. This is something called martial arts. And it took me a long time to perfect this technique. This move is known as the Ice White Divine Palm. He adds, that's why I can't teach you any magic, because I don't know magic. And if I don't know it, how could I possibly teach it? Then Leo speaks up. Then teach us martial arts instead. That catches Murdoch off guard. He pauses for a moment, unsure how to respond. But all the kids suddenly get excited. Great, we don't need magic. We want to learn martial arts. Their eyes are now filled with pure determination and fiery enthusiasm. Murdoch sees it. It reminds him of something from his past. Indeed, he thinks to himself, these eyes, they look just like mine when I was a kid. I remember going to my master with the same desperation, begging to be taught martial arts. Back then, I had the same fire, the same drive. He reflects. Right now, I should be focusing on finding Yun, not taking on new students. But these kids, they're promising. They want to use their power to protect others. That's rare. And besides, they've helped me out in more ways than I can count. Small things, big things, they've supported me. And according to the rules of my homeland, I'm not supposed to teach martial arts to anyone outside the Central Plains. But this isn't my world anymore. Just then, Savina bows and pleads, please, I beg you, teach us. Murdoch finally says, all right, I'll think about it, and I'll give you my answer tomorrow. The kids instantly cheer. That's amazing! Thank you, sir. Leo steps forward and says sincerely, we'll never forget this kindness for the rest of our lives. Murdoch, a bit shocked, thinks to himself, what kind of kids are these? I haven't even said yes yet, and they're already convinced I'm going to teach them. The kids leave happily, shouting, sleep well tonight, master. We'll be back tomorrow to begin our training. Murdoch sighs. How did things even get to this point? When I was their age, I'm sure my master must have had moments just like this, full of headaches and second-guessing. Just then, from deep inside the forest, he hears the sound of swords clashing, the sharp ring of metal striking metal. He mutters, looks like rest is a luxury I'll never have. Cut to the forest. Two groups are in the middle of a heated battle. We see Count Slay and the king themselves surrounded, fighting. Count Slay thinks to himself, if I can just hold out until reinforcements arrive. I never imagined we'd be ambushed like this, especially not while out just trying to enjoy some ice candy. Suddenly, from behind, a powerful magician appears and launches a fire blast directly toward them. Slay doesn't have time to dodge. The king is standing just behind him, so he steps forward and takes the full hit head-on, raising his defense. A massive explosion erupts from the blast. The king watches in horror. Count Slay, are you okay? He rushes over and sees that Slay is still standing, but his arm is bleeding badly. The king gasps, your hand, you're bleeding. We see Count Slay's arm, badly injured, barely usable. He grits his teeth and says, my king, I'm sorry, but I'm about to behave very rudely. This is an emergency. Count Slay stood there thinking, I didn't even realize there could be a mage among them. They were all wearing the same outfits. I mistook him. He immediately shouted to his subordinates, everyone, back to formation. Protect the king at all costs. The knights quickly surrounded their king, forming a defensive shield. Meanwhile, the enemy leader roared, kill them all. Leave no one alive. The hunters charged forward with deadly intent, each one aiming to be the first to sever a noble's head. A twisted competition of death. Despite his injuries, Count Slay stood tall, fiercely taking down one of the attackers with sheer determination. Two more enemies moved in from behind, launching a synchronized attack, but Count Slay wasn't your average warrior. He reflected their strikes with sharp precision, and even countered one of the blows effortlessly. He narrowed his eyes at them. Who are you people? Who sent you? One of them smirked. That doesn't matter. You're gonna die anyway. What will you even do with that information? Count Slay clenched his fist. That last magic attack, it had already taken out so many of his men. And judging by their bloodthirsty intent, these enemies weren't planning to let anyone survive. This was all-out war. We have to protect the king no matter what, he thought. If the king falls, the kingdom will fall with him. Suddenly, the same mage from earlier began activating his fire circle again. Count Slay growled. Damn it! Another magic attack? He shouted. Protect the king. Gather around him again. Don't let that blast land. But the magician scoffed. It's too late now. He raised his hands to unleash a powerful fireball spell. But just then Murdoch arrived on the battlefield. With one swift motion, he launched an ice attack straight at the mage. The blast was direct, and the mage was instantly eliminated. The enemy leader was stunned. Who is this guy? Even Count Slay and the king were in disbelief. Where did he come from? The enemy leader demanded. Why are you interfering in our war? Murdoch smiled slyly. Oh no, I guess I've been caught. I mean, it was kind of obvious. You don't throw out an attack like that without attracting attention. And just like that, Murdoch vanished. The leader looked around confused. But Murdoch was already knocking out soldiers one by one from the shadows. As he did, he muttered, I was just enjoying the moonlight. And then you people ruined my entire mood with your noisy little sword fight. I mean, seriously, I was trying to enjoy the night. And now you've messed it all up. His movements were lightning fast, so fast that even the enemy leader couldn't keep up. I didn't even see him move behind me, he gasped. Murdoch calmly said, Let's finish this quickly. I still have to go back and eat my ice cream. And if I take too long, it's gonna melt. The leader was shocked. I can't even track his movement. This guy isn't normal. But he steeled himself. Still, we've got the numbers. If we eliminate the king, we win. Forget distractions. Let's go. He ordered his men. I'll handle this guy. Go eliminate the king. He charged at Murdoch with everything he had, but Murdoch stood untouched. Not a scratch. He picked up a sword lying beside him. Wow, there are so many swords here. Didn't expect to find something this cool lying around. He looked at the enemy leader. Shouldn't a swordsman fight another swordsman? Fine then, let me show you a little something from the Ice Palace. That insult pushed the leader over the edge. You think some fancy swordplay is enough to beat me? Murdoch smirked. Now this is getting interesting. Let's see what you've got. Their blades clashed. But Murdoch didn't even flinch. He blocked, countered, and even shattered the enemy's sword with ease. Still, the enemy leader refused to give up. He drew dual swords, striking rapidly with deadly force. But even his strongest slashes didn't leave a mark on Murdoch. In one powerful counterattack, Murdoch buried the leader's face deep into the ground. The king, witnessing the overwhelming strength, asked, Count Slay, who is this man? Count Slay replied, My king, stay behind me. We still don't know who he is or what he wants. The king, however, smiled. Count Slay, this man might just be the hope of our kingdom. Count Slay looked stunned. My king? What do you mean? Meanwhile, the remaining enemy soldiers were panicking. They'd just seen their captain defeated effortlessly. Is he a swordmaster? They whispered. Murdoch stepped forward. So, do you all want to join him too? Come on, all of you, come together. I'm already angry because thanks to you guys, my ice cream has completely melted. The camera pans to show the ice cream, now turned into a sad puddle. The enemies were confused. What the hell is he talking about? Ice cream? But Murdoch was furious. You ruined my ice cream, and now I'll show you what revenge looks like. I'll count to 3. Leave now or I won't be responsible for what happens next. He began counting. 1, 2, 3. By then the enemies were already closing in, but just then Murdoch activated his chi barrier. A radiant shield surrounded him. Not a single enemy attack could touch him. Then he said, You think all I know is swordsmanship? He raised his hand and unleashed a deadly ice spell. From the ground, spikes of frozen death erupted, skewering the enemies in an instant. Count Slay was stunned. Even the king was speechless. Murdoch looked down at the battlefield and with a quiet, bittersweet smile said, This is revenge. My dear ice cream, I avenged you. Murdoch quietly walks away. Count Slay and the king stand still, watching everything in silence. Count Slay mutters, Your Majesty. He just left, without saying a word. The king responds firmly, Count Slay, we don't need to waste any more time thinking about that man. We need to move forward. As you command, Your Majesty, Count Slay replies, and they begin making their way back to the castle. A few days later, the scene shifts to the Royal Merchant Association, where Eden learns that Mudok has been teaching magic techniques to 4 young children. He's surprised, but also pleased. If a magic sword master is training them, this could be a game changer, he says. One of the merchants adds, I even asked him to train me and my kids, but he refused. I don't know why he only chose those 4. Eden smiles, hopeful. If these 4 kids master the techniques quickly, our association could rise to the top far sooner than expected. Standing up, he asks his subordinate, where are they training? Take me there. The scene shifts again, this time to Mudok, as Eden arrives and says gratefully, thank you so much for training our children. Mudok looks confused. What nonsense are you talking about? What do you mean our children? Eden explains, I've already heard everything. I know you're the one training them in magic techniques. Mudok realizes that the association members had likely been spying on him, and now everyone knows. Eden, still smiling, says, I'm truly grateful. I don't even know how to repay you. Just then, one of Eden's subordinates, Henry, arrives and says, Sir, there's a guest here to meet the magic swordmaster. Eden is puzzled, a guest. And that's when we see him. A man with a pitiful, almost theatrical face, falls to his knees and pleads, Please, have mercy. I'm just a servant. Our Majesty sent me to bring you back to the castle. Why do you keep refusing his invitations? At least this once, please trust me. Mudok responds coldly. Why should I trust you? Eden is trying to make sense of it all, unsure of what's going on. The servant continues. Say what you will, treat me however you like, but please don't reject the king's invitation again. At least this once, please accept it. Mudok brushes him off. How many times are you going to do this? You keep showing up, embarrassing yourself, and wasting my time. Get lost already. Despite the harsh words, the servant keeps pleading, and Mudok thinks to himself, how much time have I wasted here? I still haven't gotten a single lead on Yuan, and now I'm stuck in this mess. He flashes back to his time in the Central Plains when one of his subordinates advised him. You'll conquer this whole area in 3 years, Mudok had said confidently. Why would they want to negotiate? They must be planning something. His subordinate replied, maybe, but we also need to know when to use force and when not to. Northern Sea Ice Palace doesn't just use brute strength. We use strategy. I believe this is the time to negotiate. Mudok had paused for a moment, then agreed. All right, we'll go. But if they still refuse to cooperate, we'll attack without hesitation. That negotiation was the first time Mudok met Eden, and it was also when their love story began. For Mudok, that meeting changed everything. He found his destiny, and to this day, he considers that moment the best day of his life. Returning to the present, Mudok looks at the 4 kids still training hard. They've already picked up some skills, and he smiles. There's still so much to do, he thinks. But I'll find Yuan, I promise. The scene shifts again, this time to the royal castle, where the king is informed that Mudok has once again rejected his invitation. The servant bows, ashamed. Your Highness, I failed again. I'm truly sorry. The king sighs. The more I hear about that man, the more I dislike him. I only wanted to thank him for saving my life. But perhaps he doesn't deserve it. The servant insists, let me try again tomorrow, please. Maybe this time he'll say yes. But the king shakes his head. You've tried enough times. I don't think he's coming. Just then, a guard announces, Princess Alicia has requested to enter. Let her in, the king says, then turns to his servant. You're dismissed. Do as you're told. The servant leaves, visibly upset, which doesn't go unnoticed by the princess. Alicia greets her father, but immediately asks, Father, what's wrong with your servant? He looked heartbroken. Unable to hide the truth, the king tells her everything about the attack, how Mudok saved his life, and how he's been refusing every invitation since. Alicia is shocked. Father, are you hurt? I'm fine, the king assures her. Don't worry. She then asks, but why is the swordmaster rejecting your summons? If you admire him so much, he must be a great man. He's not just great, the king says. He's the same man behind the famous ice cream everyone's been talking about at the Royal Merchant Association. That creation alone made me even more desperate to meet him. Alicia's eyes widen. You mean that amazing flavor I had the other day? I could never forget it. She starts thinking to herself, so he's the one who made that incredible ice cream? And he also saved Father's life? Now, even more curious, Alicia looks out the window. She sees commoner kids laughing and enjoying ice cream, and decides I need to meet him myself. This might be my chance. The scene shifts to the next day. Murdoch is seen training the four children in martial arts. As he watches their progress, he thinks to himself that it's only been half a month since he began teaching them, and yet they've already started sensing qi. He believes their rapid progress is due to the high density of qi in this world, especially when compared to the Central Plains. It makes sense, and it's probably why they were able to learn techniques so quickly. He tells the students that's enough for today. They've learned to control their qi properly, and now it's time to move on to the next stage. Hearing this, the students become excited and cheerful. Suddenly, a familiar face appears from behind a tree. It's the king's servant. In a quiet voice, he says, "Sir, magic swordsman." Murdoch immediately grows irritated. He thought that since the servant hadn't shown up in the morning, he wouldn't come at all. But here he is again, though this time alone. Murdoch wonders when this man will stop bothering him and says, "You again? I already told you yesterday." Just then, Murdoch's magical pendant begins to glow. Surprised, he looks ahead and sees Princess Alicia walking toward him. She greets him politely and introduces herself by name. Seeing her, Murdoch is stunned. In his heart, he thinks he's finally found her. She reminds him so much of Yuen. Everything about her, from her presence to her expressions, matches what he remembers. The scene transitions to the Merchant Association building. Alicia tells Murdoch she's heard a lot about him. He was the one who saved her father's life. Murdoch responds casually, saying it wasn't a big deal. His attitude upsets Alicia, and her frustration shows clearly on her face. She then adds that her father sent him many invitations to thank him properly, but Murdoch rejected all of them. He admits this is true. Alicia points out that it wasn't just once or twice. They sent countless invitations, and he refused everyone. As Alicia talks, Murdoch finds himself lost in thought. Everything about her reminds him of Yuen. Her looks, her way of speaking, even her anger feels familiar. He falls into old memories. Alicia calls out to him several times. "Hello, are you even listening?" Murdoch snaps out of it and says, "Yes. What were you saying?" She repeats her question about him coming with her. He calmly asks when she needs him. Alicia, surprised that he's not refusing, hesitates. She didn't expect him to agree so easily. She stammers a bit and says, "Tomorrow. Come tomorrow at 10 a.m. I came here to invite you after all." In her mind, she admits she didn't plan any date, but tomorrow should work just fine. Murdoch agrees. "All right then. I'll see you tomorrow." Alicia leaves, and Murdoch sits in silence, thinking. He's finally found her again. Tomorrow he'll go to the palace and meet her. But there's one big problem. She's the princess of the kingdom, the highest status possible, and he has none. No title, no rank. He's lower than the lowest. In his past life, Yuen's father was the Murim leader. Their differences tore them apart. He doesn't want that to happen again. This time he needs to be careful. He realizes he needs help, and Eden might be the one to guide him. The scene shifts to Eden's room, where Eden's voice is heard shouting, "You want to get married?" Murdoch replies calmly that he already told him. He wants to marry Princess Alicia. Eden is shocked and furious. "Have you lost your mind? You're talking about the princess." Murdoch gives him a cold look and asks what the problem is. Eden takes a deep breath and begins to explain. Princess Alicia is the only daughter of the late Queen Swan. She's first in line for the throne. Meanwhile, Murdoch is a foreigner. No one knows his origin. He has no etiquette, no noble rank, not even the title of a knight. Eden questions how someone like Murdoch could hope to marry the princess. Hearing this, Murdoch feels the weight of reality. Eden continues, "In this kind of situation, marriage is impossible unless Murdoch becomes someone of equal rank, a prince from another nation, or a highly respected noble. He would need high achievements, influence, and even a proper appearance." Murdoch grows serious and says that if that's what it takes, then he will raise his status and climb to that level. Only then will he be in a position to match her. Eden nods, satisfied. He tells Murdoch that's the right mindset, but it'll take a lot. Big accomplishments and recognition. Murdoch stands up with determination and says he's ready to try. Eden quickly stops him and asks if he even knows what the rules are in the royal palace. Murdoch admits he doesn't. Eden expected that. He sighs, pulls out a huge stack of books, and places them in front of Murdoch. These are the royal ethics and customs. If Murdoch wants to stand beside the princess, he'll have to learn and follow every single one. Seeing the massive pile of books in front of him, Murdoch starts to feel incredibly small, almost crushed under the weight of everything he has to learn. But Eden, on the other hand, looks overly excited. He thinks to himself that he can't let this opportunity go to waste. If Murdoch goes into the palace and makes a mistake, it could damage Eden's business too. So he decides he has to teach him properly, every single thing. Eden is thrilled at the idea of training Murdoch and says, "Today I'm going to teach you everything." Murdoch wonders why this guy looks so excited, but shrugs it off. He decides to accept his help. After all, it could be useful to him. As the day passes, Eden keeps teaching and training Murdoch until nightfall. By then, Murdoch looks half dead, completely worn out. Seeing him like this, Eden says, "Sir Magic Swordsman, you really need to fix your posture." After an entire night of lectures, the scene shifts to the next day. Murdoch has completely changed his appearance. He's cleaned up, dressed in fine clothes, and looks much more polished. After all, he's about to meet the king, Princess Alicia's father. He knows he has to present himself properly and follow royal etiquette. The scene transitions to the royal palace. A formal announcement is made. The magic swordsman has arrived. Murdoch walks in and greets the king. The king, seeing him, smiles warmly and welcomes him with open arms. But Murdoch is quickly taken aback. The room isn't empty. All the high officials of the kingdom are present. Murdoch wonders, wasn't this supposed to be a private meeting? What are all these people doing here? He glances toward the princess. She looks nervous and tries to signal something to him. Her eyes silently apologize. She had completely forgotten that today was the official royal meeting day. She chose the date in a rush without realizing. Seeing her like that, Murdoch quickly understands that it wasn't her fault. She didn't intend to put him in such an awkward position. Then we see Justin standing nearby. Angry and boiling inside, he yells out, "What is this lowly merchant doing here?" Murdoch recognizes him instantly. "Oh," he thinks, "that's the same idiot I beat up before." He flashes a smug smile, which makes Justin even angrier. He's about to curse at him, but his father quickly stops him. "Don't forget your manners," his father says. "Do you even know where you're standing?" Justin clenches his fist, but he can't say anything. His father steps forward and adds, "Are you really planning to make a fool of yourself in front of His Majesty? Calm down, whatever you're thinking of doing." Justin goes completely silent and tries to suppress his anger. Murdoch, watching all of this, thinks to himself, "Looks like that beating really left a lasting impression." Meanwhile, the king turns to Count Slay and says, "Looks like someone's already taught him a lesson." Count Slay responds, "Yes, Your Majesty, that's what it seems like." The king then turns to Murdoch and asks, "Why did you suddenly accept my invitation? I've called you many times, but you refused every time. Honestly, I was quite disappointed." Murdoch calmly replies, "There's a reason behind that." The king leans in. "And what might that be?" Murdoch explains, "As you already know, the Royal Merchant Association has been extremely busy. There's been a serious manpower shortage, and I've had to fulfill an endless stream of orders. I kept thinking I'd wrap up one task and come meet you, but more requests would always come in. The demand for ice never stopped. I was buried in work. But finally today, I found time to come." Hearing this, the king laughs heartily and says, "I understand now. Everything makes sense. Ice and ice cream are hot topics these days. No wonder you've been busy. Your business is booming." Murdoch, in his heart, thinks to himself, "Compared to my father-in-law from my past life, this king is actually very generous." The king then asks, "So tell me, what is your name?" Murdoch replies, "Actually, I don't have a real name. You can address me by my title, Magic Swordmaster, Your Highness." The king says, "But I can't keep calling you swordsman all the time. That's a bit problematic." Murdoch thinks to himself, "What's there to think about? You could just give me a name?" At that moment, the princess stands up excitedly and says, "Why don't you give him a name yourself, father?" The king looks surprised. "You want me to name him?" The princess quickly clarifies, "No, I mean, why not give him a title instead?" Hearing this, Egris, one of the top officials, also perks up. The king asks, "A title? What do you mean?" The princess replies, "This man saved your life. I believe he deserves at least a small title as a reward." Egri jumps in. "Her Highness has an excellent idea. We should listen to her. This man didn't do something small. He saved our king's life. He absolutely deserves a title. How can we ignore the noble actions of such a young warrior?" Honestly, I'm very impressed by the princess's suggestion. The princess looks surprised but grateful. She wasn't expecting Egri to support her, but she smiles and nods in appreciation. The king, seeing everyone in agreement, stands up and says, "You're all right. I can't turn a blind eye to someone who saved my life." He draws his sword and continues. "That night when I first saw you, only one name came to mind. Step forward. I'm going to give you a title." Murdoch kneels, thinking to himself, "I've never knelt before anyone in my entire life. But if I want to marry the princess, this is something I'll have to endure. It's a small price to pay." The king announces loudly, "I, King Tomley III of the Draken Kingdom, declare that from this moment on you shall bear the title of baronet, and I also give you a name, Blizzard." Murdoch reflects, Blizzard. In their language, that means a snowstorm. The king continues, "I grant you permission to pass down this title and name from generation to generation, as long as the Draken Kingdom stands." He places his hand on Murdoch's shoulder and says, "Baronet Blizzard, it is because of you that I stand here alive today. I want to express my deepest gratitude once again." Blizzard speaks up and says, "If I ever get a chance like this again, I'd make the same choice without hesitation." Igris then turns to the king and says, "Your Highness, don't you think Baronet Blizzard, the man who saved your life, deserves something more than just a title? Wouldn't it be right to reward him with some land as well?" The king pauses for a moment and replies, "Giving land to a baronet? I don't think that's the right decision. Anyone who disagrees is free to speak." Igris, with a confident attitude, responds, "Who would even dare go against you here, Your Highness? If someone like that exists, someone foolish enough to contradict your will, I'll personally handle them." Hearing that, the king begins to wonder what Igris's true motive is behind all of this. He looks around and asks the officials, "Does anyone else have thoughts to share?" At first, everyone hesitates, but Igris gives them a sharp look, and immediately the officials begin nodding in agreement, saying, "Yes, we believe Baronet Blizzard should be granted land as well." The king thinks for a moment. Now the question is, what area would be suitable? Honestly, I don't think we have any open territory that matches his rank. That's when Igris suggests, "What about that ice region Blizzard himself mentioned in the earlier meeting?" The king looks surprised. Igris continues, "This is the perfect opportunity. We've been needing a lord in that area. Giving it to Baronet Blizzard would be fitting. His name, Blizzard, perfectly represents the frozen land in the north. It's practically made for him." He adds, "The Northland is an icy continent. His title and the land go hand in hand." At this point, the king realizes everything. This had been Igris's plan all along. From the very start, he'd been maneuvering toward this outcome. The reason? Because Murdoch had beaten his son. This was his subtle way of getting revenge. The princess, watching all this, thinks to herself, "Northland? That's the icy continent." And Blizzard starts to understand what's really happening too. "So this guy wants to send me away, far from the princess." But then he smiles and thinks, "Still, if I'm being offered land, even as part of his scheme, I should take it, because the more power and reputation I build, the closer I'll get to the princess. I can't let this chance slip through my hands." He makes up his mind. He has to grab this opportunity, fast. He needs to rise in merit, grow in status, and earn a name for himself. The scene shifts to the Royal Merchant Association, where Eden is completely stunned. "You're going to the ice continent?" he asks. "That place is terrible. There's nothing but snow and unstable mana. There's absolutely nothing out there." Blizzard simply replies, "Yes, I have to go." Eden adds, "But why? You really want to go out there?" Blizzard calmly answers, "You don't have to worry. You know cold never really bothered me." Eden sighs. "Sir Magic Swordsman, or should I say Baronet, are you sure you're not secretly a Yeti?" Blizzard blinks. "What's a Yeti?" Eden explains, "They're creatures from an ancient legend. Supposedly, they live in the ice regions of the Northeast. They're massive, over 3 meters tall, but they look just like humans. Their bodies are huge, they're insanely strong, immune to cold, and extremely violent. They can kill without hesitation. Blizzard chuckles. That's quite an interesting story. Eden continues, but no one alive has ever actually seen one. So maybe it's just a myth. Still, the people in that region are all warriors. One of them could take on 100 soldiers alone. That's why they never allow weak kings to rule them. Anyone who goes there to take control, they simply force him out. Blizzard hears this and grins. That sounds exciting. If I manage to get recognized by the northern people, my fame will rise instantly. It'll be an easy way to level up. He walks toward the door, and outside we see the 4 students waiting with teary eyes, looking heartbroken. They plead, "Why are you leaving us behind? You've only just started teaching us martial arts." They desperately ask to go with him, saying they still haven't learned enough, and without him, they'll never truly master magic. Blizzard refuses. That region is far too dangerous. You can't come with me. Savina speaks up. But we've barely learned anything yet. If we don't come, we'll never improve. Please let us join you. The others nod in agreement, begging him to take them along. But Blizzard remains firm. No, you're not coming. Just then the princess arrives in a bit of a panic and greets Baronet Blizzard. He notices her unusual expression and asks, "Did something happen?" The princess says softly, "First, please send these students away. We'll talk afterward." Blizzard turns to them and says, "All right, go on. We'll speak later." The students immediately see this as their only chance and shout, "We'll leave right now. Just promise you'll consider our request." They start bombarding him with requests nonstop. Seeing how persistent they are, Blizzard finally gives in and says, "Fine, just leave already." They cheer with joy and leave happily. Savina turns back and thanks him gratefully. The princess watches them go and says with a smile, "Your disciples sure are full of energy." Blizzard replies, "Energetic? These brats aren't cute at all. Their speed at rebelling is what's truly impressive." Seeing this kind of atmosphere, Alicia starts to smile. Noticing this, Mudok says, "Looks like you're finally starting to feel a little better." The princess responds, "Yes, that's true, but I've come here to apologize. Because if I hadn't told my father to grant you a title, he would have never sent you to the northern lands. It's entirely my fault." Seeing the princess apologizing, Mudok thinks to himself, "I used to believe that the princess only resembled Yuen in appearance, but her behavior, the way she apologizes, it's exactly like Yuen. I remember clearly how she always used to come to me, apologizing for her father's mistakes and always blaming herself." Recalling all this, a mischievous idea crosses Mudok's mind. He turns away with a sad expression and says, "But in the end, an apology changes nothing. If I hadn't received that title, I wouldn't have to leave and go to the northern lands." The princess replies, "Yes, it's all my fault." Hearing this, Mudok smiles inwardly and says, "If everything could be solved with a simple apology, then wars would have ended long ago. But in the end, I still have to go." These words deeply sting the princess, and she says, "If there's anything I can do to make you feel better, even a little, please let me know. I'll definitely help you." Mudok hesitates and says, "Well, there's a rumor that if someone gives a person a lucky charm or talisman, that person becomes successful in even the trickiest situations." Hearing this, the princess asks, "What kind of lucky charm are you talking about?" Mudok, seizing the opportunity, steps closer and says, "It's said that if one gives a generous kiss to the person, their luck increases dramatically." The princess instantly realizes he's talking about a kiss and steps back, shocked. Seeing this, Mudok says, "All right, judging from your reaction, I won't force you. Let's just pretend this conversation never happened. I should get going now. I still have to prepare for my departure. And princess, please forgive me for my rudeness." He turns and begins to leave. The princess stands there, extremely annoyed, thinking, "This guy is so irritating. He just says whatever comes to his mind and then walks off without even waiting for my answer." But as she watches him walk away, she suddenly feels like she's known him for a long time. She becomes genuinely impressed. She calls out from behind, "Wait a second." Mudok turns and asks, "Now what's the problem?" The princess walks up close to him, looks into his eyes and thinks to herself, "What was that feeling just now? It felt like I've known this man for centuries." She says to him, "Fine, I'm willing to give you that lucky charm." Mudok is completely stunned and thinks, "Wait, I was just joking. I didn't expect this kind of response at all." He quickly says, "No, princess, that's really not necessary. I don't want to force anyone to do something like this. Let's just pretend none of this ever happened." But just then, the princess grabs him by the collar, pulls him close, and gives him a deadly, intense kiss. After the kiss, blushing furiously and covering her face, she says, "All right, it's done. I'm leaving now." Mudok, completely dazed, stands there trying to process what just happened. After a few moments, he realizes that really just happened. It was a real kiss. He feels incredibly happy, like he has finally returned to something. It feels like he's found Yuin once again, that the goal of his life has been revived. All the hard work he put in, finally, it has paid off. Now the scene shifts to the northern region, where Mudok is about to become the new lord. There, a few people are talking. One says, "We've heard a new lord will be arriving soon." Another replies, "According to rumors, he saved the queen's life, and in return, he was given a title and land. So that's why he's coming here." A third person adds, "I've even heard that this man is so powerful he can defeat 100 people by himself." The second man, surprised, says, "Wow, then he must be really skilled." Another man says, "According to rumors, he's a sixth circle mage and also highly skilled in swordsmanship. People like that are incredibly rare." Then someone else questions, "If he's really that strong, then why is he even coming here?" Another person responds, "That's obvious. Anyone who loses Duke Agris's favor ends up being sent here." Someone slams the table and says, "These are just rumors. I don't believe he's that strong. Don't worry, like always when he arrives, we'll just scare him off like we did with the others." The scene now shifts to near Kowloon village, where Mudok is set to become the new lord. Two villagers are shown caught in a deadly situation. One girl says, "Damn it, where have we ended up?" The boy with her replies, "Where the hell is that wyvern hiding? It's incredibly fast." The girl, whose name is Luia, warns, "Don't let your guard down." But the next moment, the wyvern suddenly attacks at high speed and knocks her down. The boy named Jack shouts, "Luia, are you okay?" and rushes to help her, worried that she might be seriously hurt. They had come there to steal the wyvern's egg, but things didn't go as planned. Luia, injured and lying on the ground, sees the ice wyvern about to attack Jack from behind and warns him. Jack turns around and sees the ice wyvern closing in fast. He loses hope and thinks, "Looks like this is the day I die." But suddenly, Baron Blizzard appears out of nowhere. With a single sword attack, he slices the wyvern's neck clean off. In one blow, he slays such a deadly monster. Seeing this, both Luia and Jack are surprised that the monster they were struggling so hard to fight, barely surviving, was taken down so easily by this man. Baronet Blizzard says, "Are you two all right?" Luia replies, "Thank you for your help." Baronet says, "You don't need to worry about things like that. A lord is supposed to protect his people anyway." Saying this, he begins to walk away, adding, "We'll meet again." Luia tries to ask something more, but before she can speak, Blizzard disappears. Witnessing his skill, how quickly he vanished, she is extremely impressed, but the fact that she still doesn't know his real identity surprises her greatly. A while later, Jack says in shock, "Even the wyvern's egg is missing." Now the scene shifts inside the village, inside the castle where the new lord, Mudok, is sitting. He says, "Well, this is quite interesting. Did the people of this village not know I was arriving today? Then why are you the only one here? Why didn't the others come to greet me?" The subordinate replies, "Forgive me, my lord. I had already informed all the villagers in advance. I think I'll need to go back and inform them again that you have arrived." Hearing this, Mudok says, "There's no need for that. I doubt they'll come even if you tell them again. If they had to come, they would have come the first time." He thinks to himself, "So this is Kowloon village. This is how they welcome their new lord, by not participating at all. Now I understand why no lord ever stays here for long and how they're driven away." With a creepy smile, he says, "If that's how it is, I have one method, and that always works: a good beating." A few days later, the scene shifts. We see a man named Max asking, "What is going on here?" He looks at his subordinates, who appear to be heavily beaten. One of them says, "What do you think is going on? The new lord did this to us. Their faces are swollen." Another man says, "I'm really frustrated. As soon as we tried to defend ourselves, he used a move and easily took us down with his skill. We have to admit, his skill is really impressive." Another man says, "He's incredibly fast. The moment he touches us, the pain is unbearable. We simply can't stand against him. His technique is truly incredible." Max listens quietly to all of this. Just then, someone arrives from behind and announces that the new lord has entered the village. The man seems very distressed. Max wonders, "What is the lord doing here?" and says, "All right, I'll go check it out." Hearing this, another person says, "Now the greatest warrior of Kowloon village is finally going to step in. We'll definitely win now. Max, our hopes rest on you. We're sure you'll defeat him." Meanwhile, outside, Blizzard is seen walking around the village, observing the people. He sees that there are indeed a lot of people present in the village. Just then, Louis appears from behind and says, "Hello, you're here." Then a man walks up behind her and says, "Luia, what are you doing here?" Luia asks, Dad, what are you doing here? We find out that Luia is actually Max's daughter. Max says, what are you doing here? Tell me. Luia replies, I saw a crowd and came to check what was happening. Hi, Max explains. There's nothing special going on. The Lord has arrived, that's why there's a crowd. Hearing this, Luia remembers the day when Blizzard saved her and said that a Lord must protect his people. She realizes he meant that he is their new Lord. Luia tells her father, Dad, remember I told you a few days ago about the ice wyvern that attacked us when we tried to steal its egg? This is the man who saved us that day. Max is completely surprised. He thinks, this new Lord is so powerful that he killed the ice wyvern in a single strike and saved my daughter too. He's far more capable than I expected. He continues, as the greatest warrior of Carlin Village, I have to acknowledge his skill. I must recognize him, but that doesn't mean I'll back down. He steps forward, extends his hand to Blizzard, and says, my name is Max. I'm the greatest warrior of Carlin Village. Looking at his hand, Blizzard responds, so you're the greatest? My name is Blizzard, and I'm the new baronet of this area. Max says, I've heard a lot of rumors about you, that you've been roaming the village, mercilessly beating people. Blizzard replies, that's not true. I'm just teaching a small lesson to those who try to rebel, that they shouldn't rebel. Are you one of them too? Max says, no, absolutely not, but I do have an offer. Blizzard asks, what kind of offer are you talking about? So Max explains that the weather in their village is extremely cold, which causes severe freezing conditions. To combat this cold since ancient times, they've used very strong alcohol so they can survive in this harsh weather. Then he asks, what do you think about a drinking match? Blizzard casually responds, that sounds pretty good. Max says, all right then, it's settled. We'll use the strongest drink in this drinking match. But keep in mind, this alcohol is so strong it can burn a person from the inside. Blizzard replies, I'm not worried about that. But if I win, then you'll have to acknowledge me as the Lord and follow me unconditionally from now on. People in the crowd start talking, saying things like, this guy's out of his mind for challenging Max to a drinking match. No one can beat Max when it comes to drinking. Everyone seems pretty excited. Max says, all right, I understand. I accept your request and promise to go through with it. Then the scene shifts to a bar where we see a lot of alcohol laid out, and the participants are ready for the competition. Before the match begins, Max tells Blizzard, there's still time. You can still back out. Blizzard replies, a lord never goes back on his word. Let's begin. Max, with a creepy smile, says, don't regret this later. The scene shifts a little later. We see Max is passed out for a while. His subordinates are trying to wake him up, saying, Max, come back to your senses. Luia says, Father, please wake up. It looks like you passed out. Hearing that, Max thinks, did I really pass out for a few moments? I'm the biggest drinker in the whole village. How could I pass out? Then Luia says, Dad, I think you should stop now. But Max says, no, I've only just started, and thinks to himself, there's no way I can lose to someone like this. He lifts his mug again and says, let's go for another round. Blizzard pours more drink into Max's cup and says, I don't think you should drink anymore. Max looks at Blizzard and wonders, why isn't this guy being affected by the drink? We see that Blizzard is pretending to pour into his cup, but is actually spilling most of it on the ground. Blizzard notices this and says, hey, could you pour some into my cup too, instead of spilling it? At this point, Max is feeling the dangerous effects of the alcohol. He holds his head wondering, how is this guy still so fit and fine, even after drinking so much? Blizzard asks, how are you feeling? Are you going to give up? Max angrily replies, no, I will continue, and quickly lifts his glass and chugs it, though it's clearly a struggle. Luia and the other subordinates are shocked seeing Max like this. Meanwhile, Blizzard finishes another drink without any trouble. Seeing this, everyone is even more shocked at how easily he's drinking. Blizzard thinks, it's been a long time since I last drank. Maybe that's why I'm able to handle it so smoothly. Then he looks ahead with a creepy smile and says, it doesn't matter how I see it. I think I've already won. We see Max lying on the ground, completely knocked out. Everyone around is stunned because the village's greatest drinker has lost. Then Blizzard stands and says, all right, everyone, listen up. All villagers must come to my castle 5 days from now to meet me. I want to see what kind of people you really are, whether you keep your promises or not. Then the scene shifts to 5 days later, at the castle. Blizzard is surprised to see that all the villagers have shown up exactly as promised. He says, I didn't expect you all to come according to your promise. Max responds, well, of course we came. Blizzard cuts him off and says, all right, skip all the formalities. Let's get to the point. He continues, I gathered all of you here because 10 days from now, we are going to migrate from this place. So start packing immediately. Luia asks, are you calling us to live inside your castle after packing? Blizzard says, no, there isn't enough room in my castle for all of you. We are going to leave this whole area and move to a different region. I've found a very good location in the north where there is space for 10,000 people to live. Hearing this, all the villagers are shocked. Blizzard says, over the past 5 days, I was exploring the entire region and found a really good spot. I'm going to take all of you there because that's where we'll be living from now on. Hearing this, Max says, the area you're talking about is where the ice monsters live. We can't survive against them. Blizzard responds, are you talking about those huge strong monsters who walk on 2 legs and carry wooden clubs? Max says, that means you've seen them too? Blizzard replies, seen them? I didn't just see them, I eliminated them all. We see in a flashback that when Blizzard encountered them, he completely massacred the group. Hearing this, all the villagers are shocked. They never imagined that anyone could defeat such strong monsters. Blizzard says, I thought you were worried about something else, but even that small concern, I've already taken care of it. You don't need to worry anymore. We found a great place and we'll be there soon. With that, he ends the meeting and everyone starts to leave. He thinks, well, that's taken care of. Now I should focus on the next task. But we see Luia and Jack stay behind. Luia says, I'm sorry I didn't greet you properly that time. My name is Luia, Jack adds, and I'm Jack. Blizzard says, good thing you stayed. I was going to call for you anyway. Jack asks, you just need to follow me. Then the scene shifts to another particular area of the castle. After reaching there, Luia and Jack are both very surprised because the ice wyvern eggs in front of them have hatched, and the baby wyverns are present there. Seeing this, Luia gets very angry and says, just as I expected, it was you, Lord, who stole that egg from us. How could you do this to us? We worked so hard to get those eggs, and still you did this to us. Blizzard, giving a creepy smile, says, looks like you forgot what happened that day. I saved your lives. Hearing this, both of them are left with nothing to say. Then Blizzard says, all right, forget all this. We should move on. You both can take all these wyverns with you. Luia asks, are you really giving us the ice wyverns just like that? Blizzard replies, yes. At first, I thought I would raise them and make them grow big. But later I found out they eat way too much and make an awful lot of noise. So much noise, in fact, that I can't handle them. Every time they start making sounds, I feel like all they want is more food. They irritate me a lot. Luia explains, but Lord, this won't work. When ice wyvern eggs hatch, the first person they see, they consider that person their mother and behave accordingly. Hearing this, Blizzard gets very irritated and says, so now I'm the one who has to keep these wyverns? He gets disappointed and wonders how he'll handle such troublesome and annoying creatures. Then Jack says, ice wyverns are very precious. Don't say such nonsense, Lord. They can be put to very good use. Luia adds, when ice wyverns become adults, they grow very large in size and become very strong monsters. Lord, you have a great opportunity. You can raise them and even use them for riding. Then Jack says, if we travel on wyverns, we can easily go to Taxon. Hearing this, Blizzard asks, is Taxon really that far from here? Luia replies, it's around 100 kilometers from here. We can easily reach it. And Taxon is the second capital of the Gaia Kingdom. Everything is available there. Blizzard says, if that's the case, then tell me, how long would it take to go and return from there using wyverns? Jack answers, if we ride the wyverns, we could probably go there and come back in 1 or 2 hours. Hearing this, Blizzard is shocked, and suddenly an idea comes to his mind. He thinks that if they can tame them, he could execute a plan. Then he asks them how exactly he can tame these creatures. Luia asks, Lord, have you suddenly changed your mind? Blizzard, with a creepy smile, says, a brilliant idea just popped into my mind. Then we see that the 10-day period is over. It's now the time when everyone is migrating to a new area. All the people are being led by Baron Blizzard. They have been traveling continuously for 3 days and 3 nights. Then we see Savina coming to her master and saying, all the people are going through a really hard time. They are very tired. Hearing this, Blizzard thinks, we've been migrating for 3 days now, so it's not surprising. In such weather, these people are bound to face problems. Many of them don't even trust me, so they're very hesitant. But once we reach our destination, all their minds will change. Addressing everyone, Blizzard says, we are almost there. I know it's been a very hard time for all of you. I'll only say, just trust me, we'll get there very soon. Then we see a few people whispering among themselves saying, we don't even know how far that place is. Another person says, we don't even know whether the ice ogres have really been killed. Maybe death is waiting for us there. Blizzard, shouting angrily, says, are you the brave warriors from Carlin Village? The ones whose legends are sung? Because by looking at your behavior, it doesn't seem like you're brave at all. Saying this, Blizzard turns around and keeps moving forward. He then tells his disciple, that should be enough lines to motivate them. After traveling for some more time, they finally reach the cave. All 4 students look at the cave and seem to really like the area. Blizzard says, "Didn't I tell you this place is amazing?" Now everyone is talking to each other. One person says, "Look, there's another cave inside this cave." Luia says, "There's warm water flowing here." Everyone is very happy, and seeing this, Blizzard thinks, "Good, everyone seems to be feeling better finally." He gives the order, "Everyone, listen to me carefully. This place used to be the hideout of the ice ogres, but from now on, it's going to be our new home. The place we used to live had a name, but this one doesn't. So first we need to give it a name, one that truly represents it." An idea pops into his head and he says, "From now on, this place will be known as White Castle." Everyone is happy with this name. Blizzard thinks, "All right, that part is done. Now I need to go back to the baby wyverns." Suddenly he hears a dangerous noise and wonders what kind of sound that was. We see that in one part of the cave, someone has used a magic lightning bolt to attack the baby wyverns and has knocked them unconscious. The magician thinks, "What are these baby wyverns doing inside this cave?" Just then, Blizzard appears behind him and says, "What is a mage doing inside my cave?" As soon as the mage realizes that there's someone behind him, he tries to attack as well. But against Blizzard, he didn't stand a chance. Blizzard quickly strikes his acupressure points and grabs his neck, slamming him down into the ground. With great anger, he says, "I won't give you a second chance to stay alive. Now tell me, who are you and why did you attack my wyverns?" The mage thinks, "My body, it's paralyzed. I can't move at all." Then giving him a deadly look, Blizzard says, "I haven't paralyzed your mouth. You can speak just fine. Now answer me quickly." Scared, the mage says, "All right, I'll tell you. I am Count Jerome von Carrion." Upon hearing this, Blizzard says, "So, you're a count. That means you must be a noble, and I'm just a baron. Your rank is above mine." Jerome then says, "You're a baron? Wait, are you that Baron Blizzard who once saved His Majesty's life and was rewarded with a title and land?" Hearing this, Blizzard says, "Ah, so you know about me." Then Blizzard pauses for a moment and says, "Wait a second, aren't you that former lord who was appointed here and then kicked out?" Jerome replies, "Yes, I am. I had some issues which led me to these circumstances." Blizzard responds, "That has nothing to do with me. You failed at your job, so you have to give up your rank." Jerome pleads, "Aren't we on the same side? Shouldn't we be equals?" Blizzard places a hand on his head and gives him an electric shock. He says, "Equal? Not at all. You failed to fulfill your responsibility. From today, I revoke your title. But still, I'll give you one more chance to become my subordinate. But if you try to fight me again, I won't spare your life a second time. And I've released all your pressure points. You can move your body freely now. Just don't talk nonsense while speaking to me. And those wyverns over there, heal them immediately." Hearing this, Jerome says, "How do you know that I can heal them?" Blizzard says, "I'm pretty confident. Whenever I see someone, I can sense their capability. If you have the guts to attack a wyvern, then you must know healing magic too." Saying that, Blizzard begins to walk away. Jerome, still sitting behind, thinks, "I don't know what kind of trouble I've gotten myself into." A little while later, the scene shifts to another part of the cave where Jerome is sitting and thinking, "What exactly should I write to the capital?" Blizzard says, "Why are you so surprised? Writing a letter to the Empire isn't that difficult. Just write what I told you." Jerome responds, "It's not that it's difficult, but requesting not to collect tax, that's a big issue." Hearing this, Blizzard says, "What are you trying to say? The people here are already struggling to live. How could they possibly pay tax?" Jerome explains, "The biggest issue isn't the king, it's the nobles. They will go against it." Blizzard says, "Explain it in more detail." Jerome says, "The nobles will argue that it's unfair. From their perspective, if this bill passes, they will all demand the same conditions in their own regions as yours. They'll stop paying tax too, or they'll push for a similar bill. It won't matter how much His Majesty supports you. He'll still be forced to reject the bill." Blizzard realizes, so the real problem here is the nobles, and all these matters are under the control of Duke Igris. He's the one who got me here. He orders Jerome, "All right, we'll suspend this plan, but how about we try that other plan?" Then he leans in and whispers the entire plan in Jerome's ear. Hearing this, Jerome is shocked and says, "Is that really possible?" Blizzard responds, "Why wouldn't it be?" Jerome says, "Yes, it could be possible. This is the same kind of case." Blizzard says, "Good. You shouldn't delay. You must get it ready quickly." Then the scene shifts again. Sometime later, we see everyone gathered inside the meeting hall with their weapons. They don't know why their lord has summoned them. Then Blizzard arrives and says, "Looks like everyone's gathered." Luia tries to ask, "Why have you called us here with our weapons and armor? Is there some special task?" Blizzard says, "All right, I'll tell you what my real objective is. You all will go to hunt ice wyverns. Our target will be their eggs. The more eggs, the better. Everyone says, that's not a big deal. Then Blizzard says, your safety has also been taken care of. You'll all be divided into groups of 30. Jerome has already prepared the list of those groups in advance. Blizzard tells them, each team must steal at least one egg. That's the minimum risk you must take. And if this mission is successful, the reward will be 100 gold coins. The team that brings back the most wyvern eggs will get it. Hearing this, everyone starts getting motivated, because 100 gold coins is such a huge amount that even a lifetime of hard work wouldn't earn them that much. Then Max steps forward and asks, my lord, will you really give us 100 gold coins as a reward? Blizzard says, I am the lord here, and I never break my promises. So, warriors of Kowloon, what do you say? Can you accomplish this mission? We see excitement rise in everyone, and they all start preparing enthusiastically for the mission. Then Blizzard tells Jerome, for the next 10 days, you must follow every group and observe who among them is truly useful. I want a detailed report on them, because I'm going to use those people for a different task. Jerome asks, are you planning to create a night order? Hearing this, Blizzard becomes quite surprised and thinks to himself, ever since I appointed this guy Jerome to work with me, he's been doing an excellent job. I just say a word and he easily understands the whole situation. This guy is very useful. Then Blizzard says, yes, I've heard that a lord must have at least one night order. Jerome responds, yes, especially a lord should definitely have one. In our kingdom, even Aegis has a nightline, and they're very powerful. So powerful that they can even rival the royal knights. Blizzard says, don't worry, soon our night order will be the strongest of all. And he thinks to himself, just like the snow ice unit from my past life, I'll create an even greater and stronger unit this time, because I don't want to lose you again. Then Blizzard tells everyone, let's depart. The scene shifts to another area outside, where we see the teams have arrived to attack the wyverns. Everyone is working well in team coordination. Some people are distracting the wyverns, while others are cutting parts of their bodies. The unit is working very efficiently. Then Max orders his people, throw the net on it so we can capture this wyvern. Blizzard watches and says, these people have really improved in the last few days. Jerome replies, that's because they've been hunting in this pattern continuously. It's become easy for them now. They've achieved perfection. Jerome thinks, I never imagined that such an idea could come from Baron Blizzard's mind. They're stealing the ice wyvern eggs, and even capturing baby wyverns to tame them. Once that happens, they can be used to transport goods easily from one place to another. In our area, we can sell leather and bones at great prices in other cities. Then Blizzard says, keep doing this continuously and bring back as many eggs as possible. Today, I'm going to give a great reward. Hearing the word reward again, the team becomes remotivated. Jerome thinks, I had only heard about Kowloon Village's warriors being strong, and no one could unite them. But this man has united the entire clan and is managing it very well. No amount of praise would be enough for him. Then we see a man in one of the teams who easily slices a wyvern with both his swords, proving just how strong he is. Blizzard notices and asks Jerome, who is this guy? Jerome pulls out his report and says, his name is Ga, and he's quite famous. He used to loot nobles and distribute the money among commoners. One day he fell into a trap and was thrown into prison, but somehow managed to escape. Since then, he's been roaming with us on this mission. Hearing this, Blizzard thinks, this guy seems very decent and blends well with the local people. He's definitely skilled. Then he tells Jerome, if there are any such people who have escaped from prison, I want a detailed report on them next time. Jerome becomes nervous, realizing his workload is about to increase again. Then the scene shifts to the inside of the cave, where Blizzard speaks. Thank you all for your hard work. Because of your efforts, we've successfully hunted the wyverns, and we've obtained a good quantity of ice wyvern eggs. I'll make sure the promised rewards are given to you all. Then Max steps forward and asks, we followed your command, but why exactly are we collecting the wyvern eggs? Blizzard replies, looks like you all have become very curious. Let me explain. As you know, when an ice wyvern egg hatches, the first person it sees, it believes to be its mother. I want to use this method to tame them properly. And once they're tamed, my plan is to use the ice wyverns for transportation. Through this transportation, we'll be able to sell anything from our area to any other area with ease. Max asks, so what's gonna be our specialty? Like, what exactly are we selling? Blizzard replies, I've got a bunch of ideas, but first and foremost, we're gonna sell leather, specifically from the Ice Ogre tribe. We'll hunt them down and sell their hides. Hearing that, the people from the tribe around him are shocked and start arguing. They say things like, Is this guy trying to get us killed? Max also objects, saying those monsters are way too powerful. You really want us to fight them? Blizzard calms everyone down and says, who do you think I am? I'm the guy who wiped out the entire Ice Ogre group and established this ice castle. You think I'm just gonna let you all die? You need to have faith in me. I won't let you become monster food. That boosts everyone's confidence. They start thinking, if our Lord can do it, why can't we? And if he's with us, we can take them down easily. Blizzard then asks, so, do you have the courage now? And everyone agrees. They'll eliminate the ice ogres and use their materials to build up their business. As they're still in the middle of the conversation, Leo rushes in yelling, Master! Master! Blizzard, clearly annoyed, says, I'm still in a meeting. You can't just interrupt like that. But Leo says, Master, it's an emergency. That's why I'm here. Blizzard asks what kind of emergency, and Leo replies, it's Sister Savina. She's dying. Blizzard is shocked, and the scene shifts to the three remaining kids. Brown takes off his coat and wraps it around Savina because she's shivering badly and looks extremely unwell. The other two kids start crying. Luffy says, hang in there, sister. Master will be here soon. Just then, Blizzard arrives and asks, what's going on? As he looks ahead, he's stunned. Savina's condition is even worse than he expected. She's freezing and extremely weak. He asks the kids to explain what happened. We're shown a flashback. They were helping Osborn place ice wyvern eggs in a safe location to tame them. Luckily, they found a beautiful valley filled with glowing flowers called glass flowers. Savina picked a few to show Blizzard, thinking he'd like them. But on their way back to the village, she started collapsing, and now she's on the brink of death. Leo, clearly shaken, asks, Master, will she be okay? Will she ever wake up again? Blizzard takes the flower from Savina's hand and recognizes it instantly. So this is the glass flower they were talking about, he thinks, but he's shocked. This same flower existed in his real world and was known only among their cult. Its real name, Snow Ice Flower. In this world, people just think it blows out cold air. To them, it's pretty but useless. But in his world, it's the source of a priceless elixir. He doesn't have time to dwell on it now. He needs to save Savina first. He tells Leo, bring Savina to the training ground, now! Everyone rushes there and lays her down on a bed. Blizzard says, I'm starting her treatment. No one is to enter this room without my permission. Everyone leaves. Luffy, crying, says, Master, please, you have to save her. Blizzard thinks about the snow ice flower, known here as a mere glass flower, but no one in this world knows its true value. The seed inside it is extremely important and must not be touched barehanded. But since he's mastered Ice Chi, he can extract it safely. He carefully feeds the seed to Savina and realizes she collapsed because her Ice Chi isn't strong enough to handle the flower's energy. He starts channeling his energy into her mind and says, Savina, wake up. She does. She opens her eyes and says, Master, what are you doing here? Blizzard tells her to sit in a lotus position and starts circulating her chi. She obeys, and soon her ice chi starts stabilizing and flowing in perfect harmony. He's amazed. Her internal energy is increasing rapidly. As the process completes, Savina suddenly opens her eyes wide and collapses again. Blizzard, half laughing, thinks she could have at least closed her eyes first, but he's satisfied. It worked even better than he expected. Her internal energy has surged. He thinks, if this continues, she'll grow stronger much faster than planned. I should increase her training. But before she wakes up again, I need to go back to that valley and examine the rest of those snow ice flowers. I might achieve my ultimate goal sooner than expected. Later, Savina wakes up alone in the room. As things calm down, major developments begin happening around the ice castle. First, Blizzard forms his elite squad, Blizzard's Night Order. He tells them, don't talk too much about this. I'm going to mold you into the strongest unit ever. From now on, you're all my knights. Among the recruits, one guy named Sutra shows exceptional discipline and behavior. Impressed, Blizzard appoints him as the captain. He also builds a school for the kids, a hospital for the sick, restaurants, bars, and clothing stores. Training centers are made based on people's individual abilities. In one scene, Jerome and Blizzard are talking. Blizzard says, if we want to keep growing, we need to take our people with us. He also appoints Osborn as the head of security because he's the perfect fit. And finally, Blizzard tells Jerome, from now on, you're my personal assistant. Jerome is shocked and says, but I still have to teach magic to the kids. How am I supposed to do all that? Blizzard says, you really think you can't do this? I can't hear you. Say it louder. Hearing that, Jerome, clearly scared, says, yeah, I'll do it. And in his mind, he's thinking, I don't want to die. I've got no choice but to follow everything this guy says. If I did this much work back in the capital, I'd deserve $1 million gold for it. At the same time, Blizzard had formed 2 new armor units. The first one was the patrolling unit, responsible for guarding the White Castle and also for scouting nearby areas. If they found any members from Kowloon Village, they were to bring them in. Blizzard himself would serve as the captain of this patrol unit. The second group was called the Wyvern Knights, but before he could say more, Jack jumps in and says, Lord, don't worry, I'll take care of it. Internally, Blizzard thinks, we'll just wait on figuring out how many knights will join until the wyverns grow into adults. For now, Jack can manage it. He also establishes the Kowloon Village Merchant Association, which will handle business operations using the wyverns. The responsibility for managing it is given to Luia, but secretly, Blizzard remains the true leader behind it all. A few days later, the scene shifts to Jerome rushing toward a meeting hall. He's muttering to himself, they told me my workload would be reduced, but it's only gotten worse. I don't even know what kind of chaos is waiting for me this time. He arrives late and apologizes as he enters. Max tells him, relax, we just got started. But then Jerome sees Savina and is shocked. Wait, isn't that the same girl who was sick? What's she doing here? Blizzard cuts him off, saying, you're already late. Sit down and stay quiet. Then he turns to Osborne and says, continue. Osborne reports, our security unit locked up 20 individuals from the surrounding areas. We're pretty sure most of them are fugitives. Hearing that, Max jumps to his feet and yells, Lord, they must be criminals who committed crimes and ran. We need to keep them in prison so they don't cause more trouble. Most of the Kowloon villagers agree with him, but Blizzard responds coldly. Then I should throw you in jail first. After all, you're technically a criminal too. Didn't you rebel and overthrow the former leader, Jerome, without any real reason? Max stammers. That was different. We were acting in self-defense. We didn't want the central nobles ruling over our village's culture or autonomy. Blizzard glares at him and says, so if a noble struggles, it's fine. But when someone like Captain Sutra does something good, you call it theft? How does that make sense? Realizing he crossed a line, Max quickly says, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to target Captain Sutra. That wasn't my intention. Captain Sutra responds, don't forget, it's the nobles' mistakes that make commoners suffer. But I'll let it slide for now since we're in a meeting. We can discuss this another time. Blizzard sighs at their narrow-minded thinking and asks, anyone else have a suggestion? Savina raises her hand and says, I have an idea. May I speak? Blizzard nods and she says, the public opinion among our people is pretty negative toward these refugees. Since we're going hunting for ice ogres tomorrow, why don't we place the prisoners on the front line? Hearing this, Jack and Max are both surprised. Blizzard, however, looks pleased and thinks, that's actually a great idea. He asks Savina to explain her plan in detail. What exactly do you mean by that? Then the scene shifts to the next day. We see a group monitoring the ice ogre monsters. One of the men says, Captain, that ice monster seems to be separated from its group. What should we do? Among them is Captain Sutra, standing at the front. Behind him are 2 men. One's a prisoner named Gregor, and the other in front is named Lin. Sutra gives the order, keep tracking it, and once we're far enough, erase all signs of our movement so it can't regroup. Then we'll launch a sneak attack. Both men agree. After reaching a certain distance, they launch a surprise attack on the ogre. The monster wasn't prepared, so it takes some damage, but it's far from weak. It quickly counters. Lin is caught off guard and realizes he won't be able to dodge, so he prepares to take the hit head on. But just in time, Captain Sutra jumps in and lands a fierce blow with his sword. Lin barely escapes injury thanks to that. Then Gregor and Lin team up with Sutra, and all 3 keep attacking the ogre continuously. Eventually, the monster starts going down thanks to their combined efforts. Back in the meeting hall, where Savina had proposed her idea, Osborne says, so what you're suggesting is that we throw them on the front lines to die, just to get rid of them? Savina replies, no, that's not what I mean. I'm saying we should give them a chance to fight in the hunt too. My master isn't the kind of person who'd waste manpower like that. This could work in our favor. And when everyone fights side by side, all those negative emotions might turn into something positive. The scene shifts again back to the battlefield. Captain Sutra asks Lin, you all right? Lin, acting cool, says, please, that was nothing. I had the whole thing under control. The other guys laugh and say, "There you go again, Lin, talking big like always." They all joke around for a bit. Then Gregor says, "Now that we've actually hunted down these monsters, we're definitely getting a big reward." Lin replies, "Absolutely. Let's take this as the beginning of a whole new life." And with that, their conversation continues. Blizzard thinks to himself, Savina's idea really was brilliant. These guys are fighting together, and now there's a strong sense of team spirit growing among them. Well, of course, she's my student. I should have expected something like this from her. Meanwhile, in the shadows, a mysterious new creature watches them intensely. We then see one of the scouting units checking the surrounding area to make sure there aren't any monsters hiding nearby. Suddenly, they hear a sound from one direction. One of the soldiers says, "Let's not rush. This could be an ambush." An archer chimes in, "The sound came from over there. I'll fire a couple of arrows to check it out." He shoots 2 or 3 arrows toward the noise. Normally, if there were an ice ogre, it would have reacted immediately and charged out, since they aren't exactly smart. But when there's no movement at all, the archer says, "Must have just been snow falling or something. I'll go retrieve my arrows, and then we'll scout a different area." But the moment he walks toward the tree, a new kind of monster suddenly emerges. We hear only the sound of screams, and then the scene shifts back to Blizzard. He tells Jerome, "Looks like the locals aren't scared of ice ogres anymore." Jerome responds, "That's because you're the one leading us." Osborne adds, "Yeah, it's your leadership that's given us this courage and energy." Blizzard nods and says, "Exactly. Everything is going according to plan. Things are running smoothly." Then he gives Jerome an order. "Make sure no one moves around without my permission." As they're discussing this, someone rushes up to Osborne and delivers a report. They're not dead, but they're seriously injured and currently receiving treatment. Blizzard asks, "Osborne, what happened?" Osborne explains, "Looks like something serious. A new kind of monster showed up. It wasn't an ice ogre." Blizzard is surprised. "It wasn't an ice monster? Then what kind of creature was it?" The messenger explains, "2 of our members were scouting when they ran into it. It's a completely different species. According to them, its body was covered in white fur, and it stood at least 3 meters tall. Unlike the ice ogres, it wasn't dumb, it seemed intelligent." Hearing this, Blizzard starts piecing things together. He turns to Jerome and says, "Call off the hunt. Make sure everyone gets out of there safely. Once that's done, follow me. I'll deal with this monster myself." As Blizzard heads toward the area, he thinks, "I think I know what this monster is. Eden once told me about it. It might be a Yeti." Blizzard activates his mind eyes and scans the surroundings. Eventually, he spots the Yeti. He draws his sword and dashes toward it at high speed. The Yeti, seeing Blizzard, looks terrified. Blizzard slashes at its arm, causing ice to form on it. It's not a critical hit, but it does leave scratches. Blizzard is shocked. That attack, it bounced back. His body is really tough. But now, seeing him up close, Blizzard is certain this is the Yeti Eden spoke of. Blizzard prepares another attack, but is surprised to see the Yeti acting like a scared kitten. Just moments ago, it had been growling and attacking with full power. Now its face is filled with fear. It seems the Yeti has realized just how huge the power gap is between them. Blizzard thinks, "I was curious to see what kind of power a Yeti possesses. I wanted to fight him, but I won't drag this out. Anyone who harms the people of my village doesn't get mercy. I can't just let you go," he says. "I hope that in your next life, you're born as a human." Then Blizzard prepares to land a deadly blow. But just before his attack lands, a bright flash of light erupts. In the next moment, the Yeti completely vanishes. Blizzard is stunned. A blinding light! And the Yeti's gone. Did he use some kind of magic? That green glow? When I first arrived in this world, a child told me that only mages of the 5th circle or above could use teleportation or space travel magic. Most mages are only 1st or 2nd circle. It's nearly impossible for them to pull off something like that. So how did a Yeti manage to learn such an extraordinary spell? Whatever, he probably didn't teleport far. I'll track him down soon. Blizzard unleashes a powerful attack that destroys a large area ahead of him. But the Yeti is nowhere in sight. He mutters, "How long do you think you can run, rodent? I will find you. With how much power you used for that spell, you couldn't have gone more than 1.5 kilometers. I'll catch you soon." Then he notices something, a cave behind him. Realizing it might be the hiding spot, he heads inside, only to be shocked. It's not just a cave, it's an ancient library, Blizzard thinks. An ancient library, here in the middle of a snowy field? And just beyond one of the bookcases, he sees the Yeti, trembling in fear. Blizzard says, "If you were gonna hide, Yeti, you should have done a better job." Seeing Blizzard, the Yeti panics and shouts, "Don't come near me." Blizzard responds, "You don't need to be afraid. I'm not gonna eat you alive. Tell me, are you human?" The Yeti says, "No, I'm not human. I'm a great warrior of House Run. My name is Kundal. Blizzard is taken aback. Just then, Jerome arrives and confirms, yes, my lord, this is the Yeti. Blizzard asks, how did you get here? How did you know about this location? Jerome explains, there was so much chaos in the area. I figured only you could have caused that, so I followed the trail here. It wasn't that hard, but why would a legendary race like a Yeti be here, inside an ancient library? Blizzard turns to Kundal and says, so your name is Kundal, huh? Then tell me, where did you come from? Kundal is clearly overwhelmed and refuses to speak. Seeing this, Blizzard says, so you're not going to tell me? Fine. He begins to release his energy. The Yeti gets scared and finally speaks. Actually, I'm from Gulang. That's the name of his village. Blizzard then asks, are there more Yetis like you living in that village? The Yeti replies, yes, the entire village is made up of our kind. Jerome, meanwhile, is curiously and seriously examining the library. Then, with a serious expression, Blizzard asks the Yeti, tell me, why did you attack my people? Your life depends on your answer. The Yeti responds, I'm a great warrior. I don't attack people without a reason. The ones I fought aren't dead. Yes, they may be injured, but I didn't kill them. Jerome steps in and confirms, my lord, he's telling the truth. All the injured soldiers are alive and currently being treated. We've received no reports of any casualties. Blizzard then recalls the messenger who had earlier said that his teammates were hurt and undergoing treatment. The Yeti continues, I never initiate attacks. Humans entered my territory and attacked me first. I simply defended myself. Blizzard nods. So that's how it was. We must have crossed into Yeti territory while hunting ice ogres. But what surprises him the most is that, according to Eden, Yetis shouldn't even exist. Then Blizzard turns to Jerome and says, heal his injuries. Jerome uses his magic to heal the Yeti with ease. Blizzard then asks kindly, can you tell us where your village is? We don't want to intrude on your territory again. The Yeti lights up, relieved. If you promise not to come into our village again, I'll tell you everything. With that, the group starts to leave. Jerome then says, my lord, I have a request. And the scene shifts. We see Eden sitting alone in deep depression. He asks, how long has it been, Henry? Henry replies, almost 3 months. Eden clutches his head and says, our merchant association is ruined. We've got no items left. Our business depended entirely on ice and ice cream. After 3 months with no supply, we're going bankrupt. He clearly remembers that Mudok had promised to send someone in 3 months, but now that time has passed and no one has come. I guess everything he said was a lie. None of those promises were real. Henry tries to reassure him. Mr. Eden, you need to stay calm. I'm sure Blizzard will send someone to help you. He never breaks a promise. Just then, a shadow falls over them. Looking up at the sky, they see a massive wyvern. They freeze in fear, expecting an attack. But actually, it's being ridden by Sabina. She calls out, I'm here to deliver the ice. Hearing this, Eden's face lights up with joy. Just as I expected, Blizzard never breaks his promises. May he live forever. He beams with happiness, while Henry watches from behind, thinking, that's an ice wyvern, one of the strongest monsters. It could wipe out an entire night squad on its own. And here it's being used to deliver ice? What exactly is happening in the north? Just what is Mudok doing up there? Sabina then says, my master told me to give you this letter and make sure it's delivered to the right person. Eden immediately understands who the letter is for. The scene then shifts to Princess Alicia, who's sitting with Justin. Justin had invited her to spend some time together and is constantly trying to flirt. You're becoming more and more beautiful by the day, he says, but Alicia shows no interest. There's no need to compliment me so much, she replies flatly. Justin thinks to himself, she's always been so cold to me. No emotions at all. Not even a fake smile out of formality. It's so rude. I've been waiting for her all day, and this is how she treats me? Just then, a servant comes rushing in and apologizes. Alicia says, forget that. What's going on? When she hears the news, she's visibly surprised. A letter from Baronet Blizzard. She quickly stands up and says, I need to go read it right away. Justin tries to stop her. You can't leave like that. I've been waiting all morning. You should spend at least a little time with me. But Alicia turns to him with a sharp, dangerous look. I've heard you're very serious about your training. Then you shouldn't miss even a single day. Instead of wasting time on me, you should focus on that. Her words hit Justin hard. She completely ignores him and walks away, leaving him fuming. Blizzard, that bastard. I won't let him get away with this. The scene shifts again. Alicia opens the letter and reads the words written by Blizzard. To my dear Princess Alicia. How are you? Thanks to your lucky charm, I'm doing really well here. Everything is going smoothly. Reading this, Alicia starts to blush. Blizzard continues. The northern region is a great place to live. I found a sparkling cave here with beautiful lighting and scenery. There's even a hot spring with steaming water. It's truly a wonderful place. I've named it the White Castle. It's beautiful, but there's one thing missing. You, that's the only thing that makes this place feel empty. I'm sending you a small gift. It's a beautiful ice flower, also known as a glass flower. I'll send another letter soon. I miss you very much. Your Baronet Blizzard. It feels just like a love letter. Alicia's heart melts with happiness. She starts to wonder, does he really care about me this much? And do I feel the same way? She's confused, but certain she needs clarity. I have to meet him in person and sort this out. The scene then cuts to Blizzard, who's cultivating with the ice flowers. He's just consumed or destroyed another one and says, I'm good at breaking everything I touch, but controlling something like this is another level. Just then, Jerome arrives, visibly nervous. You need to come to the office immediately. We've made a huge discovery, something that happens only once in a lifetime. As he leaves to start the meeting, we see that Blizzard hasn't just destroyed one flower. He's built an entire garden of them. The scene shifts to the meeting room, where Blizzard is visibly surprised after hearing the news. Wait, you're saying this ancient magic library you found? Everything in it is related to magic? But the very next second, he puts on a neutral expression and says, so what? What's the big deal? So, Jerome looks confused. Why are you reacting like that, my lord? This is a huge discovery. That library is connected to ancient humanity, which is key for us. We've lost a lot of magical knowledge. If we can recover it, I might finally be able to break through to the fifth circle. Blizzard is momentarily taken aback, sensing something. He narrows his eyes. Jerome, what's inside that pouch tied to your waist? We see a large bag strapped to Jerome's side. Jerome quickly tries to hide it and says nervously, it's nothing special, my lord, just a bunch of useless things, not worth your attention. But Blizzard uses his energy to pull the bag toward him and immediately starts opening it. Jerome begins to sweat. Blizzard says calmly, you know, the more someone tries to hide something, the more curious people become about what it really is. As he opens the pouch, a handful of glowing stones, crystals, spill out. Curious, Blizzard asks, what are these? Jerome replies, actually, I wasn't trying to hide them. These stones, they're known as mana stones. They contain a high concentration of mana. Blizzard then asks, and what exactly were you planning to do with them? Jerome explains, I've been stuck at the fourth circle mage level for a long time. I was hoping to use the dense mana in these stones to break through the barrier and reach the fifth circle. That's why I was hoping that you'd let me keep them. Blizzard responds firmly. If that's the reason, then I refuse. Jerome tries to reason. But if my level increases, I can help you more. Please let me use them. But again, Blizzard denies him. Jerome grows even more nervous. Tense, Blizzard looks him dead in the eye. Let's say you do use those mana stones and break through this wall. Then what? Are you going to rely on finding more mana stones to break through the next one too? If you truly want to level up, you need to work harder, consistently, and reach enlightenment. That's what'll determine how strong you actually become. He pauses, then adds, if you start relying on shortcuts now, that path will always lead you toward destruction. Jerome falls silent, thinking deeply. He's right. When he reached the fourth circle, he did it through hard-earned effort and real achievements. He became strong through discipline. His master always taught him, never take shortcuts to reach higher levels. Slow but steady, that's the path we should follow. Always pushing forward, always seeking enlightenment. Jerome turns to Blizzard and says, please forgive me. For a moment, I forgot my master's teachings. Blizzard, thinking to himself, goes, I thought this guy wouldn't listen so easily. I might have to beat some sense into him. Well, lucky for him, he came around. Then he asks, so what other uses does this magic mana stone have? Jerome responds, it has a lot of uses. It can be used in all types of magic. For example, mana amplification, mana barriers, and communication spells. These three are its main applications. Hearing this, Blizzard asks, hold on a second, how exactly can we use it in communication spells? Jerome explains, if we embed a communication spell into this mana stone, even someone who doesn't know magic can use it to communicate. And this is a top-grade mana stone. Depending on its quality and how the spell is cast, it can even allow communication as far as the Java Empire, across the ocean on another continent. Blizzard replies, the most important thing in running a nation is the speed of information. The faster you receive it, the more advantages you have, because you can react and act quickly based on it. He then gives Jerome a direct order. Convert all the mana stones into communication devices immediately. The scene shifts. A little while later, all the mana stones have been converted into communication devices, and testing is underway. We see Blizzard holding a mana stone in his hand when suddenly Jack's voice comes through. Hello, check. Jack is here. Can you guys hear me? Osborne is clearly surprised, and Blizzard, listening in, replies, "Yes, Jack, we can hear you loud and clear." Jack responds, "I can hear you just as clearly. I'm currently about 10 kilometers away from the White Castle. This thing is amazing. I'll keep giving you updates." Blizzard, hearing this, says, "That's great. It means the communication stone is working perfectly. From now on, we'll use this to communicate with each other." Then Jack, acting childish, goes, "This is awesome." Blizzard immediately gets irritated and thinks, "How dare he interrupt me like that?" He sharply says, "Jack, get back immediately." Jack replies in a joking tone, "This is Emergency Squad 3. We're heading back quickly." Annoyed by Jack's silly behavior, Blizzard is just about to crush the Mana Stone when Jerome steps in and warns him, "If you do that, you'll destroy the communication device." Blizzard pauses. Just then, a voice from behind says, "Master, it's Seven. She has returned from her trip." Everyone gathers in the meeting hall. Blizzard reads the letter sent by Eden, his face turning serious. Seeing this, Seven asks, "Master, is there something wrong with the letter?" Blizzard answers, "Eden gave me a detailed report on the current political situation in the surrounding countries. But there's one name mentioned in here that really surprised me. Have any of you heard of someone named Aono?" Captain Sutra speaks up. "I can't confirm for sure, but I've heard rumors. If I'm not mistaken, this guy might be a great swordmaster." The whole room is stunned, everyone except Blizzard. People begin whispering, "A great swordmaster? Isn't that someone even beyond a swordmaster? There's no one like that on this whole continent. Only someone like that could suppress even a swordmaster." At that moment, Blizzard silences everyone, and the room goes quiet. Internally, he starts thinking, according to the cultivator world standards, a great swordmaster should be at the same level as a transformation realm expert. At that level, they can form a sword using mana purely by will. Back when I first arrived in this world, I heard there were only a few dozen people beyond the level of swordmaster. I was honestly disappointed. If there's no one to match your skill, life becomes dull. But now, finally, someone at that level has appeared. Whether he's my match or I'm his, I still want to meet him. Captain Sutra adds, "Actually, there's something even more unusual. When he uses his swordsmanship, it gives off the scent of plum blossoms." This stuns Blizzard. The scent of plum blossoms? That's something unique to the Manhwa sect. And that sect belongs to the Central Plains, my homeland. That's impossible. Could it really be that more people from my homeland have arrived in this world? Am I not the only one? The scene transitions to the past, during the time when Mudok was trying to unify the entire continent. He had defeated the leader of the Manhwa sect. Mudok said to him, "Your swordsmanship isn't strong enough to beat me." The leader replied, "If my best disciple were here, he definitely could have defeated you." Mudok, laughing, said, "So he ran away out of fear?" The leader clarified, "No, actually, a few years ago, he entered closed-door cultivation and suddenly vanished. It was as if he disappeared from this world entirely." Back in the present, remembering all this, Mudok thinks, "Back then, I thought he was just making excuses. But maybe he was telling the truth." Just then, Jerome asks, "My lord, was there any other information in that letter?" Blizzard says, "No, there's nothing that important in the letter. It just mentions that an inspection group from the kingdom is coming." As soon as everyone hears this, they freeze for a moment, totally shocked. Sweat starts pouring down their faces, and they begin asking, "Why is the inspection group coming here?" Blizzard doesn't realize how serious this is and casually says, "What's the big deal?" That's when someone explains, "There are only two reasons the inspection group visits. Either the royal family is coming for a tour, or they're here to completely eliminate a traitor." Everyone starts panicking and asks, "How much time do we have? 1 month? 2? 3? We need time to prepare. We haven't made any preparations at all." Blizzard simply raises one finger and says, "They're probably already here." Everyone immediately turns around and looks outside, and sure enough, the royal knights have already arrived. They're standing outside as everyone peers out the windows, stunned that they didn't even get time to get ready. Leading the knights is Justin, who loudly shouts, "Lord of White Castle, Baron Blizzard! Come out immediately and properly greet the inspection group." Blizzard walks outside and with a somewhat creepy tone asks, "So Justin, how's your hand doing?" That tone brings back painful memories for Justin. Meanwhile, Jerome starts wondering to himself, what's our Lord planning? Could he really be preparing to rebel? What are the royal knights really doing here? Just then, Blizzard says out loud, how long do you plan to keep hiding out there? Come on out, Your Highness, Princess Alicia. And with that, Princess Alicia steps forward and greets Blizzard, asking how he's been. The scene shifts. Sometime later, we see the princess admiring a glowing crystal cave and saying, this cave is absolutely beautiful. Is this the location you mentioned in your letter? It's stunning. She then asks, where's the hot spring? I want to see that too. It becomes clear that the royal knights are here purely for leisure. After reading Blizzard's letter, the princess got so curious about this place that she begged the king to let her visit, and she was allowed to join the inspection group. Blizzard chuckles and says, wow, you really are stubborn. You even convinced your father to let you come. And forcing that lucky charm on me? You're bold. Hearing that, the princess blushes and says, that topic is off limits. You're not allowed to bring it up again. Every little thing about her, her tone, her reactions, even the way she blushes, reminds Blizzard of Yuen. He thinks to himself, it really has been a long journey to reach you, but this time I won't repeat the mistakes of the past. I'll change everything. This time we'll reunite for real. As they reach the hot spring, the princess exclaims, it's absolutely gorgeous. From behind her, Blizzard softly says, it's not more beautiful than you. They end up standing very close to each other, and then Blizzard adds, I missed you so much, Yuen. At that moment, all the color drains from the princess's face. She asks, Yuen? Who is Yuen? Blizzard instantly realizes the mistake he just made. The princess demands, who is she? Blizzard stammers and says it was just a slip of the tongue, but then she confronts him. Baronet Blizzard, whenever I look into your eyes, I see affection, deep affection. But now I want to know the truth. Is that affection truly for me, or for this woman named Yuen? Blizzard is struck silent. He wants to explain, but he can't find the words. The princess, holding back tears, says, I get it. You don't need to say anything. Your silence says everything. She runs away crying. Blizzard is left completely shattered. He wanders out into the snow, lost in thought, thinking, Yuen is Alicia, and Alicia is Yuen. But how do I explain that to her? How do I make her understand that even back then my feelings were for her because she is her? She's both Yuen and Alicia. While he's lost in his thoughts, we see a man hiding behind a rock. He pulls out a knife and sneaks up on Blizzard, who doesn't even notice because his mind is elsewhere. Suddenly, there's a sneak attack, and blood splatters everywhere. The scene cuts to Justin. He calls out, and a shadowy figure steps out from the darkness and says, Yes, master. Justin asks, So? What happened to him? The shadow replies, The ambush was a success. We then see Blizzard's pendant lying in the snow, the one Mudok liked so much, and there's blood all around it. The scene shifts to Princess Alicia in her room. She's blushing, crying, and talking to herself. How pathetic am I? Crying like a kid after getting dumped. This is so embarrassing. Even though she keeps thinking about Blizzard, she blames herself. I'm such an idiot. Still, he should have at least tried to come talk to me once. Suddenly, someone arrives at her door. A guard announces, Princess, there's a visitor here to see you. She immediately gets excited, thinking it must be Baronet Blizzard. She walks over and opens the door with a slight attitude, saying, So, what brought you here this late? Are you here to apologize for earlier? But when she looks up, she's completely shocked. Standing there is Justin. He has already killed the royal guards and looks terrifyingly deadly. With a creepy, evil smile, he says, Sorry for disturbing you so late at night. Terrified, she rushes to shut the door, but Justin slashes the door handle with his sword, completely destroying it. He continues slashing until the entire door is gone. The impact knocks the princess backward, and she thinks the door was sliced like it was nothing. This sword must be magically enchanted. Justin looks like a full-on devil. The princess, trembling, says, What's the meaning of this behavior, Sir Justin? You attacked the royal guard and barged into my room without permission. Justin says, Anyone who tries to block a noble's path will always face consequences like this. And as for rudeness, princess, you were the one who was rude first. You completely ignored my feelings. And then, suddenly, some nobody shows up, and all your affection shifts toward him. Hearing that, the princess responds, So just for something so petty, you went this far? Once the baronet finds out, he'll never let this go easily. But Justin smirks and says, even in a situation like this, you're still thinking about someone else? Well, he's already dead. The princess is stunned, shocked by what she's just heard. Justin continues, I actually sent an elite scout to kill him. By now he should be cut into tiny little pieces. There won't be a single body part left to find. He reaches out toward her, but just then an icy hand comes out of nowhere and lands a deadly blow on him, sending him crashing through the wall. That attack came from none other than Baronet Blizzard. He steps forward and says to the princess, Are you okay, princess? Seeing him alive and standing, the princess is overwhelmed with joy and starts crying tears of relief. But suddenly, something strange happens. The sword lying nearby begins to move on its own and attacks Blizzard. He manages to counter the attack and quickly realizes, this sword, it's being controlled through chi. The sword returns to Justin and floats beside him. Blizzard quickly pulls the princess behind him to protect her. But when he looks up, he sees Justin now standing in a massive, dangerous-looking suit of armor. Blizzard says, So you came fully prepared this time, didn't you, Justin? Ready to eliminate me. The scene flashes back to when Justin had told his father, Igrius, that he planned to kill Baronet Blizzard. Igrius asked, So what do you need to finish off Baronet Blizzard? Justin replied, Father, give me your best association squad. They're so powerful they could take down any swordmaster easily. Igrius responded, That alone won't be enough, and handed over a powerful magical sword, saying, If you're going after a swordmaster, you'd better be fully prepared. This confirmed that even Igrius was involved in this plan. Back in the present, we learn that the sword Justin received is magical. It uses the user's mana to move freely, form armor, and can easily eliminate even a seasoned swordmaster. Justin launches another attack on Baronet Blizzard. To protect the princess, Blizzard pushes her to the side and takes the hit head-on. It's a brutal strike. Justin, feeling confident, sneers and says, Swordmaster, it's been a long time since you last landed a good hit on me. Today I'll finally take my revenge. This time I won't fail. We see Blizzard with scratches on his arms and blood starting to drip. The princess gasps and says, Baronet, you're bleeding. Blizzard calmly tells her, Stay right here. I'll take care of this. The princess asks, You'll come back, right? He smiles and walks away, stepping forward to face Justin. He tells him, You look different from last time, Justin, but to me, nothing's changed. I think things will end the same way they did back then. That makes Justin furious. He attacks with his sword, but Blizzard easily sidesteps it with one smooth swing. Justin doesn't stop. He closes the distance and launches a more powerful attack. But again, Blizzard dodges and counters with his own strike. Their battle rages on, eventually moving far from the original spot. Blizzard starts to get pushed back a little, and Justin grows more confident, thinking he must have used all his energy fighting the association squad earlier. This is my perfect chance to finish him off. Justin charges up for another powerful strike, but suddenly Blizzard counters with a piercing blow straight through Justin's arm, destroying part of his armor. Then Blizzard reveals the real reason he backed off earlier. It wasn't because he was weak. He wanted to create distance between the princess and the fight to make sure she wouldn't get hurt. He stares at Justin and says, How dare a rat like you attack a cat? Because of you, the princess could have been in serious danger. Even someone as low as you dares to lay a hand on her? Justin tries to strike again, still not willing to give up. But Blizzard grabs him by the dantian and says, This, the source of your recklessness, I'm going to destroy it. And with a devastating attack, he makes sure Justin will never lay a hand on the princess again. The blast is massive. Ice and light explode everywhere. The surrounding area freezes even more than before. Justin falls to his knees, his armor shattered. He's stunned and confused, thinking, What happened to my mana? Why can't I gather it anymore? Blizzard stands over him and says, Because of your reckless behavior, I destroyed your dantian. You'll never be able to use mana again. Justin, completely unhinged now, lunges forward with his bare hands, but Blizzard effortlessly slaps him across the face and sends him flying. Blizzard tells him, Now live your life with that guilt. Without mana, you're just a weak, broken man. As the morning light begins to rise, Blizzard looks around and thinks, that took way longer than I expected. I should go meet the princess now. Later, we see Justin and his remaining allies being arrested and thrown into prison. But Justin still can't accept the truth. His mana is gone. He sits there, trembling, haunted by what just happened. Meanwhile, Blizzard feels relieved and happy. He blushes to himself, thinking, now the only thing left is to go on a sweet little date with Alicia. But just when it seems like everything's finally going well, he sees something that shatters all those dreams, right in the middle of what should have been a perfect moment. The princess was holding Jerome's hands in the cutest way and talking to him sweetly. Seeing this, Blizzard was absolutely furious. Then the scene shifts to 15 minutes earlier. Blizzard was telling everyone, find it. It must have fallen somewhere around here. My locket should be nearby. Whoever finds it first will get the biggest reward. That's when Jerome says, so the assassins attacked you and you lost your pendant during that? How's that even possible? Blizzard replies, yeah, it just happened. Jerome says, from what I know, that association squad was highly skilled, yet you didn't even get a scratch? That doesn't make sense. Blizzard responds, they weren't that skilled. All they knew was how to walk quietly and ambush suddenly. They were actually pretty weak. I was distracted at the time. Otherwise, they wouldn't have even been able to handle a small hit from me. I would have seen the attack coming and wouldn't have lost the pendant either. Right then, the princess walks up and says, just as I expected, you lost the locket because of me. She looks really sad. Jerome, seeing her upset, turns his face away in guilt. The princess, clearly emotional, says through tears, if you hadn't come to save me and had just looked for your locket, you would have found it. It's my fault. Feeling guilty, the princess blames herself for everything, but Blizzard, seeing this emotional atmosphere, throws all the blame on Jerome, saying it's all his fault. Jerome is shocked and thinks, what did I even do? But when the princess sees Jerome's face properly, she's surprised and says, wait, this is Count Jerome. She quickly grabs his hand, and Blizzard's rage hits a whole new level, his veins nearly popping. The princess asks Jerome, what are you doing here? I heard you were missing. Jerome responds awkwardly, well, things just kind of happened that way, Your Highness. I know you're happy to see me, but please don't act so excited or I'll get in big trouble for your warm welcome. Basically, he's asking her not to hold his hand like that, but it's too late. Blizzard's hand grabs Jerome by the neck from behind, and in that moment, Jerome knows he's dead meat. Blizzard chuckles darkly. So you two are really close, huh, Jerome? Jerome starts to panic. That creepy laugh? It hides a whole storm of rage. The princess hesitates for a second, but then her maid Renzi speaks up. Your Highness, I think you need to clear this misunderstanding right now, or that poor guy is going to be in serious danger. So the princess speaks up. Jerome is someone I respect deeply. He's an amazing count. He truly cares about his people and works hard for them. When he was sent here, I felt horrible. And when I found out he went missing, it really hurt me. Blizzard asks, if you're so kind and hardworking, why didn't you ever say anything about it? Jerome replies, I mean, who brags about their good traits? The princess adds, it was only after I came here to get to know you that I learned about Jerome. I'm really happy I did. She glances at Blizzard and blushes. And surprisingly, even Blizzard starts to blush. The princess quickly excuses herself, saying she'll go look for the pendant. Renzi follows her, and the whole scene turns a bit awkward. The princess walks away, blushing and breathing heavily. She stops somewhere and, luckily, finds the pendant right there on the ground. Picking it up, she asks Renzi, isn't this the pendant the baronet was looking for? Renzi replies, yes, that's the one. I'll go let him know. The princess looks at the pendant and thinks, this really is a beautiful pendant. From the way he reacted, I'm sure this belonged to that woman, Yuin. Just then, Renzi comments, Princess, your face right now looks just like Lord Blizzard's a little while ago. Had an intense, deadly expression on his face, as if his mind was about to explode. So yes, he was definitely feeling jealous. Renzi advises, Princess, don't rush things. Take your time. Get to know each other properly. You care about the Lord, and he cares about you. The princess smiles and thinks, at first I was just jealous, but now I'm really curious. What kind of woman rules a man's heart like that? What kind of wonderful woman must she be? Then she returns the pendant to Blizzard. Now the scene shifts to a flashback in the Central Plains. We see a lotus flower withering. Yuan's father says, "Get that thing out of my sight. I know nothing like that actually exists. Who would believe this childish nonsense? That a flower blooms because of love. You're already engaged, so stop getting distracted and start preparing for the wedding." Yuan responds, "Father, you're the one shutting your eyes. Even after witnessing such a beautiful miracle, you still don't believe in it? The lotus only blooms when both souls share pure love. But you don't want to see that. You just want a political marriage. I guess the martial alliance matters more to you than your daughter does." Her father starts to get furious. Yuan adds, "I think you abandoned my mother just the way you're trying to abandon me." That's the final straw. Her father commands the guards, "Lock her up. Don't let her leave. She's never allowed back to the Ice Palace until she's married. Keep her under strict surveillance." Yuan is still fighting with her father and yells, "I should never have come back to you." Suddenly, we cut to Alicia, waking up with a gasp. It was a dream. Or was it? It's a dream that keeps repeating, and she's now deeply curious. Was that just a dream, or some kind of reality? Later, standing in front of a hot spring, Alicia wonders, what was that dream? And who is that woman? Blizzard approaches her from behind and asks, "Princess, is something wrong?" She hesitates and replies, "No, nothing bad. It's not really a big deal. You don't need to worry about me, Baronet." She looks visibly down, and Blizzard notices. He gently says, "Princess, how about a little trip with me? Maybe it'll help clear your mind." Alicia and Renzi are both surprised. "A trip?" they ask. Stepping outside, they spot an ice wyvern. Renzi is absolutely terrified, but the princess says in awe, "Wow, this is amazing. I've never seen so many trained ice wyverns." Blizzard reassures her, "They're very well trained and totally friendly. You don't have to worry." Just then, Jerome arrives and says, "My lord, we've made all the preparations. We're ready to go." Blizzard asks, "Did you get it ready?" And that's when a cute little creature waddles out. "Sorry for suddenly bringing this up," someone says as the adorable thing walks into view. It's saying only one word, Con. And yes, it's none other than Condor, the little yeti. He can only say Con, and he looks unbelievably cute doing it. Seeing this, the princess lights up with joy and says, "Is this really the legendary tribe we've only heard stories about? It's honestly so cute. I absolutely love this tiny little yeti." Hearing her say that, Jerome smiles and says, "I'm glad you like it." Blizzard then gives Jerome a nod of approval and says, "You really did a great job." We get a flashback showing that the yeti was originally quite big and even a little scary. Back then, Blizzard had instructed Jerome to use his magic and shrink the creature down. And now the princess finds it incredibly adorable and plays with it affectionately. All that mattered to the baronet was seeing the princess happy. Blizzard then says, "All right, it's time we head out," and summons his Mount Lilith. He turns to the princess and says, "Shall we go?" The princess climbs up onto the ice wyvern, and their mount takes flight, soaring toward their destination. It's her first time flying, so she's nervous. But she thinks to herself, "This is my first time and I'm scared. But as long as the baronet is with me, everything will be okay." Her eyes are still shut tightly. From behind, Blizzard says, "Look ahead. The view is amazing." Nervously, she slowly opens her eyes, and when she sees what's in front of her, she gasps. It's absolutely breathtaking. She smiles in awe and says, "This is absolutely beautiful." Blizzard smiles and asks, "Feeling a little better now, princess?" The princess thinks, "I was feeling disappointed and stressed out, but all this time it's only been the baronet who's cared about me." Realizing this, she gives a warm smile and replies, "Yes, I feel much better now." Blizzard grins and says, "Then hold on tighter. We're about to go even faster." The scene shifts. Blizzard arrives at a location where Luya greets him, saying, "My lord, at least let me know in advance next time you're coming. I could have prepared better." Blizzard responds, "It was a sudden plan. How could I contact you out of the blue?" Then he adds, "Anyway, let's skip all that. From now on, give any trade-related reports directly to Jerome." Jerome sighs, feeling frustrated, and says, "I do all the work, lord. What do you even do?" Blizzard smirks and replies, "I have an important task. I'm going to have dinner with the princess at a nearby restaurant, so finish up quickly and meet us when you're done." Meanwhile, we see the princess enjoying a beautiful view, clearly delighted. Blizzard says, "I prepared this scenery just for you. Do you like it?" The princess nods. "I love it so much." Her gaze then falls on the pendant hanging around Blizzard's neck. She stares at the flower-shaped design and thinks, "Where have I seen this before?" Suddenly, she remembers the dream. She had seen that flower in her dreams. She gets lost in thought for a moment, and Blizzard gently brings her back, saying, "Princess, where did you drift off to again?" The princess replies, I'm sorry. Lately, I've been having these really strange dreams. Blizzard asks, what kind of dreams? Alicia explains, there are people wearing strange clothes living in a house I've never seen before. And there's this beautiful girl in her early 20s with long black hair and stunning eyes. But in every dream, she always looks sad. She's in love with someone, but her father is forcing her into a political marriage. She pauses and then says, isn't that strange? Blizzard agrees. Yes, it's definitely strange. Alicia continues, but in the dream, that girl keeps calling a guy by the name Gaga. This catches Blizzard completely off guard. He thinks, there's only one person in my entire life who ever called me that, and that's Yuen. For a moment, he drifts into deep thought. Then he clears his throat and says, Princess, our food is getting cold. Let's eat. As they begin to eat, Alicia softly says, Blizzard, I have a request. Every time you call me princess, it feels like we're too far apart. If we really have feelings for each other, I'd prefer if you called me by my name, Alicia. Blizzard smiles and replies, of course. But even as he says that, memories of Yuen begin flooding his mind again. Still, they enjoy their dinner. Just as they're finishing, Jerome arrives and says, I hope you enjoyed your meal. I've completed all the reports related to our firm in Texton. Alicia looks around and asks, what is this area? I don't remember any place like this existing in our kingdom. Blizzard hesitates, then admits, actually, I forgot to tell you, we're no longer in our kingdom. We're currently in Texton, which is part of the Gaia kingdom. Alicia is stunned. She had no idea they had crossed borders. This kingdom is said to be one of the most powerful in the north. It's also a colder region, and unlike most, it's ruled by a queen, not a king. In fact, it's been a matriarchal monarchy for generations. The royal knights here are known to be just as skilled as the knights of Java. It wouldn't be wrong to say this country belongs to women. Alicia's worried. I knew we were far from home, but I didn't realize we were in another kingdom entirely. I hope this doesn't create any diplomatic issues since I came here without notice. Jerome asks permission to continue the report, and she nods. He explains that their Isar leather is in high demand. It sells out the same day they bring it in. Luya has suggested they establish a firm in Gaia itself. Instead of selling raw leather, they could use it to produce goods like bags, purses, and clothing, especially since the noble women here live very lavish lifestyles. There's even a skilled craftsman in the nearby Carlin village who can create luxury items from the leather. Blizzard thinks to himself, as expected, giving Luya charge over the firm was a wise decision. He gives his approval and assures that any materials she needs will be provided. Jerome continues, the moment we arrive with our leather, it's sold out. People love it. Suddenly, a loud explosion is heard. A building nearby is on fire, and it's dangerously close to their firm. Jerome panics. If the wind shifts, the flames could destroy our building too. Blizzard says, you all stay here. I'll check it out, and rushes off alone. The princess tries to stop him. Let me come too, but he says, I'll be back before you know it, and takes off. Princess turns to Jerome and says, we can't just stand here and watch. Let's go after him. They follow the baronet. At the scene, a woman collapses to her knees in despair. Her entire life was dedicated to that shop, and now it's burning to the ground. Everyone's panicking. The fire is intense. Blizzard himself is shocked by its scale. Just then, the princess and Jerome arrive. She apologizes for disobeying him and following. Blizzard thinks, I can't even scold her for this. If I were in her place, I'd probably do the same thing. Suddenly, he hears a telepathic voice whisper in his mind, help me. As Blizzard stood there, he thought to himself, what was that just now? He was sure someone was trapped in that fire. Without hesitation, he rushed inside the burning building. Flames raged all around, but to reduce the blaze, he used his ice magic to freeze parts of the area, dimming the fire slightly. Looking ahead, he spotted a person lying unconscious on the ground. Blizzard quickly checked for a pulse. She was still breathing. He thought, she's incredibly lucky to have survived such a dangerous fire. Suddenly, debris from the collapsing ceiling started falling toward them. Blizzard immediately activated a powerful skill and froze the entire burning building in solid ice. One massive piece of rubble stopped just an inch from their faces. As he looked around, the fire had completely died out. Everything was covered in thick frost. Jerome was stunned witnessing this power. This isn't just 8th circle magic. It has to be 9th circle, he thought. Seeing Blizzard walk out unharmed, the princess smiled with relief and happiness. Then the scene shifted. We were shown a mysterious palace where two people were sitting. One of them poured a drink and said, Princess, I've received information. There's going to be a rebellion soon. The other, a princess, responded, who dares start a rebellion against me? But before she could say more, she started losing consciousness. Something had been mixed into her drink. The man beside her gave a creepy smile. Suddenly, her eyes shot open. She looked around and thought, where am I? Stepping outside, she saw people sitting around, calmly eating their meals. Luia approached and said, "My lady, you're awake. Are you feeling any better now?" She asked, "Where exactly am I?" Luia replied, "You're at the Carlin firm, my lady." No one in the area knew she was a princess, so they were all speaking informally. The girl thought to herself, this merchant association, this firm has become famous for its leather. It's surprising that none of them recognize me. She then asked, "Is anyone here from the Gaia Kingdom?" Luia answered, "No, we're all from the Drakia Kingdom, specifically from Carlin Village in the far north. That's why our firm is named after it." The girl asked, "Who was the one that saved me?" Luia replied, "That would be our village's lord, Baronet Blizzard, the one sitting right there." The princess stood up, looked at him and said, "So you're the one who saved me. I should at least thank you. My name is Silar Makma." Hearing this, Princess Alicia, Jerome, and everyone present, except Jack, were shocked. Jack asked, "Wait, who is she?" Luia shouted, "You fool! How many times have I told you to study about Gaia Kingdom's noble families? Silar is the second princess of Gaia, and she's incredibly powerful. She became a sword master at the age of 25 and is the captain of the Royal Knights. She's famous throughout the kingdom." Luia quickly apologized for her rude behavior. "Please forgive me, princess." Silar responded, "It's all right. You all aren't from our kingdom, so I understand why you didn't recognize me." Meanwhile, Alicia started feeling nervous. "I'm standing before a princess from another kingdom. If my identity gets revealed, it might lead to a political issue." Blizzard noticed Alicia's unease. Silar said, "I would personally like to reward you for saving my life. After the meal, please come with me to my castle." Blizzard replied respectfully, "I must decline. I need to return to my country immediately after we finish eating." Silar was furious. No one had ever refused a royal reward before. Even Luia was shocked and thought, this is a serious situation. Refusing a royal family's reward is considered extremely disrespectful. She knew she had to change the topic quickly. Luia said, "Our lord is just a little nervous. After all, this is the first time he's met Princess Silar." She then asked, "But your highness, why were you in that burning building?" Silar remained quiet, thinking to herself, it was Baronet Dayton's doing. I did everything for him, and he dared to try assassinating me. She said aloud, "It wasn't a serious issue. Some people don't have the courage to face me directly, so they choose underhanded assassination attempts. They poisoned my drink and set the building on fire to make it look like an accident. But enough about that. You saved my life, and I must repay you. Tell me, what would you like in return?" Just then, Silar's stomach growled. Blizzard chuckled and said, "I don't think you're in a position to give out rewards just yet. I believe you need a proper meal first." Silar got angry. "How dare you make fun of me?" Blizzard calmly replied, "I'm not making fun of you. You've been starving since yesterday, and it's only natural you're hungry. Please eat something." She sat down and started eating, thinking, all right, the food's decent. But how dare this man refuse my reward? If he hadn't saved me, I would have had him thrown in prison by now. Her eyes then fell on a sword nearby. "Whose sword is that?" she asked. Blizzard replied, "That sword belongs to me." Silar was intrigued. A noble with a sword? That means he has combat skills. And since I'm also a Knight Order captain, I want to see what kind of sword skills he has. She said, "Baronet, after this meal, I'd like to have a sparring match with you." Blizzard declined. "I have a rule. I don't fight weaker opponents." Silar was enraged. She twisted her spoon with one hand, thinking, did he just call me weak? He doesn't know I'm a sword master. In the past, men from other kingdoms always refused to duel with me just because I'm a woman. But I always knew how to provoke them using one simple line, and I'll use it again here. She smirked and said, "Or are you just afraid that you'll lose to me?" Alicia and Luia were completely shocked. She had just said the one thing she shouldn't have. They knew exactly how powerful Baronet Blizzard really was. Blizzard calmly stood up, picked up his sword, and said, "All right, let's go outside. I'm about to teach you a proper lesson." The episode begins with both of them stepping outside for the battle. Princess Schiller says, "We'll follow the simple rules of a knight's duel. No aura, and the one who either defeats or disarms the opponent wins. That's the only clear result." Blizzard agrees easily. Behind him, Jerome quietly reminds him, "Baron, remember, she's the kingdom's princess. If she even gets a single scratch, it could turn into a major diplomatic issue." Blizzard chuckles and says, "All right, I got it. Now stop talking." Princess Schiller asks, "Are you two done talking? Can we start the battle now?" Deep inside, she thinks, "I've seen so many men who think they're above me, but when I beat them, they kneel and apologize for underestimating me. I'm already imagining what your face will look like when you lose to me. It's going to be fun. Princess Schiller uses a small trick. She reflects the sunlight off her sword straight into Baronet Blizzard's eyes, blinding him for a split second. Taking advantage of that moment, she dashes forward with incredible speed to attack him. But Blizzard, standing still, easily blocks and reflects her strike with his sword. The princess is shocked to see her surprise attack so effortlessly defended. She doesn't stop. She follows up with a powerful kick, but Blizzard smoothly dodges it by stepping to the side, looking almost amused. The princess keeps attacking fiercely, but Blizzard keeps dodging or deflecting every blow. Not a single attack manages to land on him. She's a swordmaster herself, and her moves are sharp and precise, but Blizzard's minimal movements are enough to avoid every one of them. The princess starts thinking, he's dodging everything with just tiny movements, and without even using much force. He hasn't counterattacked once, but he's reading all my moves perfectly. I'm a swordmaster, which means he's been hiding his true power. He's skilled, really skilled. She swings a dangerous downward slash, but Blizzard jumps up just in time to avoid it. The impact breaks everything behind him, and while still in midair, Blizzard keeps observing her every move. Princess Schiller jumps up and launches a flying kick at him. Because he's still midair, Blizzard can't block properly and gets pushed back by the impact, sliding quite a distance before regaining balance. Now Blizzard looks a little more serious. The princess thinks, he's sharp, his battle sense is impressive. He even took that heavy attack head on and still stayed fine. But if this fight keeps going like this, I'll end up destroying the entire area. That's not good. They both charge at each other again. Princess decides to go all out with her final strike, one that she believes will finish the fight. She unleashes a flurry of rapid attacks, but Blizzard reflects every single one. She tries to land another kick, but this time Blizzard grabs his sword more firmly and defends with ease. Then, for the first time, Blizzard launches a real counterattack. He punches her hard in the stomach, grabs her by the neck, flips her upside down so that even he's seeing her inverted, and the next second, she crashes face first into the ground. Blizzard places his sword right on her neck. At this point, Princess Schiller is completely defeated. Her weapon is no longer of any use. Blizzard calmly says, "You should admit your defeat now. It's time to accept it." The princess, panting, says, "No, it's not over. We'll do it again." Jerome steps in and says, "You both showed incredible swordsmanship. Why don't we all just go back and finish the meal we left behind?" But Princess Schiller, in a threatening tone, says, "If you don't accept a rematch, I'll go to the Drake Kingdom and officially protest against you." That was a direct threat. Hearing that, Jerome gets nervous. It could turn into a serious political issue. He thinks, "No, I need to stop this right now." Princess Schiller looks stunned. Baronet Blizzard says, "Admitting defeat is also a mark of a true warrior. I thought you were a princess of a great nation, but you're acting like nothing more than a spoiled child." The princess bursts out in anger, shouting, "What did you just say? What do you even know about me? How dare you talk like that?" She releases her aura and rushes toward him, yelling, "If you don't know someone, you shouldn't speak about them at all." But Blizzard moves so fast that before she can even realize it, his sword is already in front of her face. She doesn't even see when he drew it, which means she lost again, instantly. She realizes that this time she's completely defeated. She couldn't even follow the movement of his sword. So how could she ever hope to fight him? Blizzard speaks in a cold tone. "So this is how you people treat your savior in your kingdom? I didn't know that saving someone leads to this kind of behavior. Didn't your tiny brain realize how much stronger I am than you? You're a princess, yet you still don't understand that. You should have known who your opponent was and chosen more carefully." The princess thinks to herself, "Why couldn't I win? If I lose here, that means everything I've built so far is meaningless." Her mind drifts back to her childhood. In a flashback, young Schiller runs to her mother holding a medal and says, "I won first place again in the swordsmanship tournament." Her mother smiles and says, "Our Schiller is so strong and amazing. If you keep getting stronger like this, you'll be able to protect your mother and sister both, and one day you'll become the strongest sword of the Gaia Kingdom." From that day on, Princess Schiller had decided she would become the sword of Gaia, defending her kingdom no matter what, so no one would ever dare to disrespect her family again. I dedicated my entire life to that. But this man, who even is he? Just then, Princess Alicia appears from behind, looking a little concerned. Baronet Blizzard turns to her and says, "Princess Alicia, we should go explore the city. We're leaving for our village tomorrow." Alicia nods with a soft yes and starts following him. As they walk away, Blizzard tells Jerome, "Tell Jake to buy a few useful supplies we might need later." Jerome replies, "All right, I'll have everything ready before you leave." Blizzard and Princess Alicia leave the area. Behind them, Princess Schiller stops Jerome and Luia, making both of them instantly nervous. The princess asks, "That woman who was with Baronet Blizzard? Who is she? Is she his wife?" Jerome quickly replies, "No, it's not like that. I can't give you the exact details, but she's a noble woman from a very respected family. She isn't his wife." Princess Schiller thinks, "So he's not married yet." Then she tells Luia, "Prepare a carriage for me. I'm going back to the palace." Luia nods and says, "Understood. I'll prepare it right away." Schiller thinks to herself, "Ever since I became a sword master, this is the first time I've met someone so strong, and the first time I've ever lost. His name was Baronet Blizzard. I'll never forget that name. If I had met someone like him earlier, maybe I would have become something else entirely." After returning to the palace, she orders her most trusted knight to find Baron Dayton. But when the knight reaches Dayton's castle, he learns that Baron Dayton was found dead in the basement. In his hand, there was a letter. At the end of the letter, it said that he took this step because his family had been taken hostage and he had no other choice left. The letter originally had the killer's name, but someone had erased it. Princess Schiller says, "I tried so hard to find the person behind all this, but I couldn't find a single clear clue or name. There's only one person who could have done all this, the one I suspect the most, and that person is none other than..." The scene shifts toward a castle. Princess Schiller arrives outside a chamber and asks for permission to enter. The maid inside announces, "Your Highness, Princess Schiller is here to see you." A voice from inside responds, "All right, let her in." We see Gaia Kingdom's first princess, Princess Rowan, the primary heir to the throne. As soon as she sees Schiller, she says, "It's been a long time since we last met." Princess Schiller tells her everything, how she was attacked and barely managed to survive. Hearing this, Princess Rowan is shocked. Schiller says, "He put drugs in my wine, made me unconscious, and then set the entire building on fire. If that man hadn't been there and hadn't saved me, I would have already died by now." Rowan bursts out angrily. "Is there any guard outside? Bring Baron Dayton to me immediately." But Princess Schiller calmly says, "You don't need to do that. I already found out Dayton is dead. Most likely the same person who ordered the attack on me had him silenced as well." Rowan pulls her into a hug. "My sweet little sister, I had no idea you were dealing with something so terrible. I thought that once you became a sword master, we wouldn't have to worry about anything anymore. It seems I've been careless, but I'm glad you're safe." Then her expression darkens slightly as she says, "I truly want you to stay safe." Inside, Schiller thinks, "Really? You're this upset seeing me alive?" "Yeah, I don't have concrete evidence yet that you were behind the attack, so I have no choice but to pretend you're innocent. But deep down I know with absolute certainty that you were the one behind all of it." A childhood memory flashes in her mind, the two sisters laughing and playing together. She thinks, "Why can't we go back to those days?" But her thoughts quickly shift to the present. What is that man doing right now? She's thinking about Baronet Blizzard again. Suddenly she remembers something and asks, "Sister, there's something I want to ask. A few days from now, our royal delegation is going to the Drake Kingdom for their king's birthday celebration. Could I attend that event in your place?" Princess Rowan looks surprised. "Yes, I was supposed to go, but if you want to, you can attend instead. That's not a problem. But wait a second, you never take part in things like this. Don't tell me, that man who saved you, does he happen to be in the Drake Kingdom?" Princess Schiller blushes lightly. Rowan laughs and teases her. "Oh, I see, so you're dying to meet him again, huh? That's why you want to attend the event?" Schiller gets flustered and mumbles, No, it's nothing like that. I just want to go." The scene shifts to Baronet Blizzard. Blizzard thinks, "It's already been 3 days since we returned from Gaia Kingdom. Time really flew. Ever since Justin's attack, their current location has become dangerous because it holds several precious items, like the Ice Wyvern and the Glass Floor Chamber. If the enemy discovers this location, they could create endless problems or try to destroy everything. So they decided to stop using the White Castle for official meetings. Instead, they'll use the Old Castle as the public front for visitors, while keeping the White Castle and its important secrets hidden and protected. Today is the day Princess Alicia is returning to her kingdom." Blizzard thinks, "These past days, Jerome has done nothing but create chaos, yelling nonstop that we need to prepare the army immediately because Princess Schiller might attack us anytime." As usual, Blizzard just ignored him, knowing he was mostly overreacting. As he steps out of his room, he thinks, "Today feels peaceful. Jerome hasn't bothered me yet," but the moment he closes the door, Jerome is already standing right there shouting again, "My lord, Captain Schiller will definitely attack soon. I think we should deploy the army right now and prepare everyone. We need a strategy." Princess Alicia walks up behind him and says, "To be honest, I'm a little worried too. She's a princess of a kingdom after all. What if this turns into a diplomatic issue? That's what concerns me the most." Blizzard thinks, At the Central Palace, I fought countless people, even members of the Murim Alliance. But the fire I saw in that girl's eyes, that wasn't just rage. It had the trust of a martial artist. People like that aren't reckless. They know exactly which matters to reveal and which ones to act on carefully. Baronet Blizzard turns toward Alicia and says, Miss Alicia, you really don't need to worry too much. Honestly, everything I said back there was completely true. I'm sure the princess will understand that. But even if something does happen, I'll handle it myself. He takes out a small gift and adds, if you ever think of me, or if you need to contact me, you can use this directly. It's a communication stone. Princess Alicia lights up when she sees it. Blizzard explains, this communication device works over long distances, and it doesn't require any magic. You can talk to me directly from the kingdom all the way to here. Princess Alicia asks in surprise, is that really possible? Blizzard smiles. Miss Alicia, whenever you want to talk to me, you can contact me anytime. Just then, her ride arrives to take her back home. Blizzard leans toward her and says quietly, no one in the world knows about this communication stone yet. Whenever you use it, make sure you're alone, so no one else finds out. He then mentions Justin. And as for Justin, even if he tries anything, don't worry. Jake will keep an eye on you from above and help you instantly if something happens. Hearing this, Alicia feels genuinely happy. The communication device alone is extremely valuable, and he even wrote me a handwritten letter. That means the Baron truly cares about me. The way he treats me already shows everything. He doesn't even have to say it directly. She thanks him and returns to her kingdom. Watching her leave, Blizzard thinks, right now, I'm just a Baron. And between a Baron and a princess, the difference is like heaven and earth. If I want to be worthy of her, I need to raise my status even higher. Then he tells Jerome, let's go. There's somewhere we need to be. Jerome has no idea where his lord is taking him. When they arrive, Jerome is shocked. What is all this? What's going on here? They're in a prison-like chamber. Some people inside are barely alive, while some are already dead. Jerome panics. Who are these people? Blizzard answers. These are the same people who tried to kill me. The entire assassin squad Justin sent. Jerome asks, does Justin know they're still alive? Blizzard, in a calm voice, replies, no. As far as he knows, I killed all of them. Blizzard thinks, I've kept them locked up here without food or water to see how long they can survive. Many of them died over the past 10 days. Compared to assassins from the Central Palace, these guys are extremely lacking, pathetically weak. But he notices two assassins who are still surprisingly calm and holding up well. I have high hopes for those two, he says. He tells Jerome, contact Sutra and have food prepared for them. Jerome uses the communication device and arranges for food and water. Blizzard thinks, if I want to make them useful, I'll have to invest a lot of work. Later, the surviving assassins are given food and water to help them regain strength. Jerome finally asks, my lord, why are you keeping them alive? You should have just killed them. What's the point of letting them live? Blizzard reveals the truth. Actually, I want to create my own assassin squad. Jerome is stunned and nervous. He thinks, why do you need an assassin squad? Don't tell me you want to eliminate the Gaia Kingdom's princess. If not her, then maybe you already have an Ice Wyvern unit, and now an assassin unit. Are you planning to rebel against the kingdom? What exactly are you trying to do, my lord? Jerome stammers. My lord, isn't this going too far? First the Ice Wyvern unit, and now you're creating a full assassin squad? I think you're pushing things too much. This time we escaped because of the princess's involvement. But if there's another investigation without her, we'll be punished for treason. He keeps ranting, but Blizzard ignores everything. His mind is still replaying Alicia's last words, when she asked, the Majesty's birthday party is coming soon. You'll be there, right? And Blizzard had promised her he would definitely attend. Back in the present, Blizzard answers Jerome. The king's birthday party is what I'll use as a turning point.